Chapter 251 Casual Chat. Seeing Lu Yunxi's eager eyes, she nodded and agreed. Okay, I'll bring the baby over when I have time. I'll feel at ease leaving the child with you. Lu Yunxi smiled and said, that's great, I love children. Ancestor. Lu Mingui hurriedly said, you should still call me grandma. I'm not used to you calling me ancestor. So that's why you've been so good to me. I didn't dare accept it at first, but what good thing in this world comes without a reason? We're family. By the way, Zion and the others don't know about me, right? Lu Yunxi smiled and said, I don't know. It's a tradition passed down only to daughters, not sons, so he wouldn't know. As for Shutong, I will only tell her about this after she gets married and has a daughter. However, nowadays kids don't want to get married and have children, who knows? She didn't say anything more, let nature take its course. Lu Mingui nodded, looking at the last paragraph of the note, which read, descendants will never be able to enter the White House. Why were Tuantuan and Yuan allowed to come in? When she asked the question, Lu Yunxi was also taken aback. I didn't know that. Could it be because they are still young and don't remember things? However, it's normal that you can't reach it. After all, you are the owner of the wooden hairpin, and no one else is. Lu Mingui was initially melancholy, but then felt relieved. This experience of mine is already an incredible stroke of luck, and it will benefit future generations. I can even expect each of my descendants to use the wooden hairpin to travel between the two time periods. Wouldn't that create chaos? The two talked for so long that it was already late. Lu Yunxi asked her to stay for dinner. Grandma, please stay for dinner. I'll take the food back to you after you finish eating. It was just the two of us for dinner, the others were out on business and didn't come back. The meal was simple for the two of us. After the meal, Lu Yunxi asked again, by the way, have you decided what kind of business you want to start? Lu Mingui was just about to ask about this. A few days ago, I bought several bags of face cream. I think it's good to use, and the price is reasonable, only a little over 2 yuan a bag. If we repack them in some porcelain bottles, we can take them back and sell them. However, I'll have to find out the exact price later. Yunxi, do you think this deal can be done? Lu Yunxi's eyes lit up. That'll work. I think I know which face cream you're talking about. It's inexpensive, and it's an established brand. The raw materials used are mild and non-irritating, so it's suitable for both adults and children in the family. By the way, ma'am, what kind of skincare products do you usually use in the Ming Dynasty? Lu Mingui thought for a moment. How can poor families afford skincare products? We can't afford things like bath powder. We might as well save the money to buy rice. We can use the water from rinsing the rice to wash our faces. It's just as refreshing. However, I've heard that girls from wealthy families use more of these. But I haven't seen it with my own eyes either. Lu Mingui thought of the girl who bought the bronze mirror back then. Her skin looked extremely delicate and fair. I noticed that her dressing case contained quite a few bottles and jars. He added, so this business still needs to be done with wealthy families, but I haven't figured out a way to sell this porcelain vase yet. Lu Yunxi, however, said, the matter of the porcelain vase is simple. However, if you plan to buy porcelain bottles and then manually squeeze the face cream into them one bag at a time, it will be too much trouble. We don't need such outdated, purely manual methods anymore. Lu Mingui asked in surprise, is there another way? Of course, Lu Yunxi said with a smile, glancing at the sky outside. It's too late today. I'll take you somewhere tomorrow, and you'll find out then. Lu Mingui hurriedly said, I can't come tomorrow. Lu Yunxi thought for a moment and said, give me your phone and I'll save the numbers in it. Call me when you have time. She entered the number, and also entered Li Ziyan's number. Look, this is my name. Press it to call me. And this one belongs to Li Ziyan. If there's any heavy work, just ask him to do it. Lu Mingui took it and understood immediately. This is really convenient. I thought I had to remember a string of numbers to make a phone call. Lu Yunxi smiled and said, that's because you arrived late. If we go back another 10 or 8 years, back then we still used landlines, and everyone wrote down the numbers in notebooks. To make a phone call, you have to look through the phone book first. Look at this. It's only been a few years, and it's already an antique. Speaking of antiques, Lu Yunxi remembered something else. Grandma, you didn't bring any porcelain to sell, did you? Porcelain? No, Lu Mingui hurriedly shook her head. I only have a few earthenware bowls and basins at home, which can't be considered porcelain. Even if it's an antique, nobody would want it, right? She never even considered selling porcelain. After thinking for a moment, he added, however, I gave Zion 2 copper coins back then to thank him. Later, a friend of his bought it. 2 tiny copper coins sold for $1,000. She laughed and said, it scared me so much that I never dared to take it out again. Lu Yunxi nodded in agreement. No wonder you've been able to stay safe and sound. That's the right thing to do. Being cautious is definitely the best course of action. If you were greedy and brought copper coins or antiques to buy and sell, you would have already attracted attention. There are plenty of shrewd people in this world. Your ability to time travel is already illogical. If you expose too much of it, you won't even know how you died. She wasn't trying to scare Lu Mingui, it was just her experience from years in the business world. Lu Mingui was startled. Fortunately, she wasn't thinking about making a fortune, she just wanted her family to have enough to eat and wear. She said, actually, I think earning money with my own hands is pretty good, it's much better than toiling in the fields. It was by sheer luck that we avoided any trouble. The two chatted as they walked back to Guanlin residence. After seeing Lu Yunxi off, she returned to the Ming Dynasty. Song Xiaoqiu came forward first. Mother, you were gone for a long time this time, are you all right? Lu Mingui shook her head, it's nothing. As for the matter of offspring, there's no need to talk to my daughter about it. Relieved, Song Xiaoqiu said, the well water in the backyard is very clear and sweet. I've turned over that plot of land. In the spring, we'll plant some radishes, scallions, or leafy greens. We'll plant cucumbers and green beans along the base of the wall. We'll be buying food for the whole winter. Lu Mingui wasn't worried, as there were plenty of vegetables in the market. As for wild vegetables, they are not commonly eaten at home these days. Firstly, she didn't find wild vegetables to taste that good, and secondly, they were more valuable to sell. As the mother and daughter were talking, Song Xiaodong returned carrying a basket. The bamboo basket contained a basket of shepherd's purse. He said with some disappointment, Mother, although it's warmer in Zhongnan than where we are, it's still winter after all. I dug for half a day but didn't find much. And all we found was shepherd's purse. Lu Mingui looked over and saw that the wild shepherd's purse in the basket had already turned purple. It's not that it's old, but rather that it's been through the frost. This kind of shepherd's purse has a strong aroma and a delicious taste. It's a pity there aren't enough, she said. When we have time, your mother and I will go dig for wild vegetables together, and we'll go even further. Chapter 252 Haitakai. Song Xiaoqiu quickly said, then I'll go dig for wild vegetables with you. Now that I'm at home with nothing to do, and Tuantuan and Yuan are still small, I don't need to take them out to play when it's cold. Man raised her little face and said, Grandma, I want to go too. You want to go too? No way, you're too young. Lu Mingui joked, you can stay home with your mother. Otherwise, your mother would be scared if she were home alone in such a big house. Shen Juya hurriedly came out of the house, still holding the shoes she was making. Mother, I can manage on my own, so let Man go. This child will be 6 years old by spring, and will be able to help with chores around the house. Lu Mingui bent down and scooped Man into her arms. She almost couldn't stand up from the sudden movement. Oh my, the little girl has some weight now. Grandma can hardly carry her anymore. Shen Juya said, yes, you've grown a bit taller too. Man said, I wish I could be as tall as that general. Song Xiaodong laughed and said, that would be difficult, since none of us in the family are that tall. As they were talking, Lu Wenli arrived with his 2 sons, along with 2 small baskets of wild vegetables. Little sister, there are few wild vegetables in winter. We've only dug up this much in the past few days, and we're bringing it to you now. Lu Mingui glanced at it and saw that it was similar to the wild vegetables that Song Xiaodong had dug up, mainly shepherd's purse. There was also a small handful of wild onions. There is another type of vegetable, which is dark green in color, with thick, wrinkled leaves, and the whole vegetable is flat. This isn't a wild vegetable, is it? Lu Wenli nodded. I met a neighbor who gave this to me when I was digging for wild vegetables. They say it's called black cabbage, and that it tastes especially good after the first frost, so I brought some for you to try. If it tastes good, we'll grow it next year too. Lu Mingui agreed, told Xiaoqiu to take the wild vegetables, and invited everyone into the main room to talk. During the day, the heated brick bed wasn't heated, so the main hall wasn't very warm, but thankfully everyone was wearing new cotton-padded jackets. Lu Yongyan spoke first. Aunt, we've come here this time to discuss buying land. We've already inquired about it. Right now, if we buy government-owned land outside Yinshan village, we can get more than 10 acres. Lu Mingui was surprised. You can buy so many. The others were also surprised. More than 10 acres. How come it's cheaper than the land over there? Lu Yongyan hurriedly said, please let me finish. This price is for government-owned land. In principle, government land should not be sold, but now we can't control it all, and there are many wealthy families selling government land. It's cheap, but extremely risky. If the government takes it back one day, we'll have lost everything. Moreover, the land is not good, the soil is not fertile, and with various taxes, the crops can barely provide enough food for our own consumption. The key is that they can't sign contracts, which is why they can buy so many. Everyone suddenly realized, so that's how it is. Lu Mingui immediately lost interest and shook his head, saying, land like this is not easy to buy. Without a contract, it's not safe to buy it, there's no guarantee of its success. Lu Yongyan nodded in agreement. That's what I was thinking too. It would be better to buy farmland. It's a bit pricey, but at least it's reliable. My father and I have been inquiring these past 2 days. The best paddy fields cost 12 taels of silver per mu, while the less desirable ones cost 10 taels of silver. This price is 50% more expensive than the official land, so I've come to discuss it with you. Right now, there's a family selling land. They're selling 6 acres of land, all of it top-quality paddy fields. If we buy it all at once, we can get a better price, only 10 taels of silver per acre. So my father and I scraped together another 20 taels of silver. Do you think we should finalize the decision? Lu Wenli then said, little sister, I went to check out their land, and it's good, the soil is very fertile. If we buy now, the land will be barren for almost half a year, and there won't be enough time to plant winter wheat. Then he added, but it's perfect for composting. We'll plant rice next year, harvest the rice, and then plant winter wheat, so that we can have 2 harvests in 1 year. This is how people here farm. They don't grow millet, they grow rice and wheat. Lu Mingui knew that his elder brother was used to farming and naturally understood these things. So he nodded. As long as the land is good, it's settled then. With the land, we finally have roots. Lu Wenli said, if you come with us, the land will have to be registered in your name. He felt that his younger sister had contributed the majority of the money, and he couldn't let his family take advantage of the situation. Her 2 nephews also advised, Auntie, this land should be registered in your name. We'll save up and buy it later. After much persuasion, Lu Mingui finally went along. The middleman was found by Lu Yongyan. Both parties signed a red contract before going to the county government's household registration office to pay taxes and complete the transaction. Once everything was settled, Lu Mingui became the owner of these 6 acres of prime paddy fields. His name was added to the official register, and these 6 acres of land became his private property, which could be bought and sold in the future, and could also be passed down to the next generation. After calculating again, it turned out that the land cost 60 taels, the deed tax was 3 taels, and an additional 1 tael of silver was spent on bribes. Lu Mingui sighed inwardly. This money really didn't last long. 60 taels of silver only bought 6 acres of land. She also wants to buy a few acres of dry land. Moreover, these 6 acres of paddy fields are not much. After all, there are many people in the family, so we still need to make money quickly to buy more land. In the latter half of the day, the weather, which had been gloomy for several days, finally cleared up. The 2 families went to see the newly purchased paddy field, which wasn't too far from the Lu family's house. The whole family was overjoyed to see their own land. Lu Mingui walked to the edge of the field and saw that the wild grass on the edge had already been withered by the frost. The field was overgrown with weeds, and you could even see withered rice roots. Lu Yongkong stepped into the field and started turning over clods of earth. This land is quite fertile. Once the soil is turned over in the spring, we can start planting. There are just too many weeds. I'll come and pull them out. Tomorrow. His father hurriedly said, you can't pull it out. This grass can fertilize the soil, so there's no need to pull it up. You haven't seen this before. This wild grass is called grass seed or purple cloud grass. We don't see it much where we're from, but we see a lot of it here. Purple cloud grass. The old man who sold the land to us said that they rely on this fertile soil, it's excellent green manure. It's edible when it's young, but it turns bitter when it gets old. Upon hearing this, Lu Mingui quickly reached out and grabbed a short, tender one. A thought suddenly occurred to her. This should be edible, right? Go back and ask Xu Yang if he wants it. If he does, then we'll have another type of wild vegetable to choose from in winter. Chapter 253 The Factory. Thinking of it, Lu Mingui took 2 baskets of wild vegetables and went to Mi Farm when she had the chance. The farm's business is even better now, just a few days after the new year. Although it was winter, the farm had some evergreen trees, so it didn't look desolate. On the contrary, the clump of withered yellow reeds in the yard stood out, adding a touch of wildness. Xu Yang finally finished his work and rushed over to see Lu Mingui. "Auntie, have you been waiting long?" "Oh, it's only the new year, and we've got so many customers. They're all tired of eating so much meat and fish, so they come here to cleanse their palates. The reservations are already booked a month in advance." Lu Mingui hurriedly said, "Thank you for your hard work. I haven't thanked you for your dividends yet." "It's not hard work, it's not hard work," Xu Yang laughed loudly, his face shaking. "Opening a farm like this is my dream. Although it's not that impressive now, it has at least secured a place in Taipei's restaurant industry. Making money is just a side effect." Lu Mingui couldn't help but laugh along. Xu Yang was a chubby and cheerful-looking boy, and seeing him laugh made her want to laugh too. Xu Yang then looked at the basket in her hand. "Auntie, did you bring wild vegetables today? This shepherd's purse is quite nice, the leaves are all purple, and it smells wonderful." Lu Mingui praised him. "You're an expert. Now that it's cold, shepherd's purse is like this. It looks purple, but it's not old. By the way, do you guys want this dish?" What he took out was a bunch of purple cloud grass that he had plucked from the field. Xu Yang indeed knew. Grass seeds, the tender tips can be stir-fried or made into pancakes with flour. Anyway, they can be eaten before flowering. Once they bloom, they become too old and taste bitter. "It's edible, that's good," Lu Mingui said, relieved. "It's still tender now, I'll pick it for you when it's a little longer." "Sure, bring it over if you have it. By the way, ma'am, there's something else I'd like to discuss with you." Xu Yang then said, "Business is getting better and better now. I'm thinking of cooking a couple more tables at lunchtime. What do you think?" Lu Mingui nodded without hesitation. "Sure, but can you handle the workload?" Although there were other people to do the chores like preparing the ingredients, Xu Yang was the one who did most of the cooking. "Look at yourself, you've lost weight from exhaustion." Xu Yang instantly became excited. "Who says it isn't? I've lost a full 5 pounds in the past 6 months. I weigh less than 200 pounds now." "Lu Mingui, let's get down to business. We can add 2 more tables. Are you worried about not having enough wild vegetables?" "There are still some wild vegetables stored in the White House, but if things continue like this, it might not be enough." That's exactly what Xu Yang was thinking. He said, "Wild vegetables are seasonal, and most of them cannot be cultivated artificially. I'm worried that one day you won't dig up enough, and then there will be a famine." Lu Mingui, however, sensed something different in his words. "There are wild vegetables that can be cultivated artificially." "What kind of wild vegetables can be grown?" "Of course there are," Xu Yang nodded. "Shepherd's purse can be grown, as well as water fern, red tune, beetroot, wolfberry leaves, ice plant, and many more. I can't even list them all. Shepherd's purse can be grown here, it's the best place to grow it." "We've gone off on a tangent again, Auntie. Do you think we could supply enough wild vegetables if we set up a few more tables?" This made Lu Mingui hesitant to make any promises. She had only been in Suzhou for a few days and had no idea what kind of wild vegetables were available there, or how much she could find. She thought for a moment and said, "Give me a few days, I'll think it over carefully and then give you an answer, is that all right?" Xu Yang nodded hurriedly. "Okay, whatever you say." Lu Mingui then asked, "How are those horses?" She managed to acquire 6 horses in total, such fine chestnut horses, that she dared not take them back easily. "We need to think of another way." Xu Yang nodded. "It's good, but there's nowhere to go, I guess they'll feel restless. One of them has a good temperament, and guests surround it every day to take pictures while riding it. They've become a local specialty." Lu Mingui said, "That's good. I'll have to leave it here with you for a while. Thank you for your help. Is there enough hay for the horses?" "That's enough. There's grass on the hillside, and I even bought salt bricks for them to lick." She was finally relieved, and then hurriedly returned to Guanlin residence to call Lu Yunxi. Lu Yunxi was waiting for her call. This time, she didn't drive herself. She asked Xiao Lu to pick up Lu Mingui, and then she made another phone call. Soon, the black van took the 2 away from Taipei. Lu Mingui asked curiously, "Where are we going?" "You'll know when we get there," Lu Yunxi said, keeping him in suspense and refusing to reveal the answer. Lu Mingui stopped asking questions and focused on the scenery on both sides of the road, the trees flashing by, the flat fields, and the distant mountains. In the past 300 years, the world has changed dramatically. I was amazed at how fast this car went. If we use this to escape the famine, we should be able to get there in a few days. She couldn't help but mutter to herself, how long will it take to get to Suzhou Prefecture in this car? Upon hearing this, driver Xiao Lu immediately demonstrated his expertise to Suzhou. It's over 1,000 kilometers away, and it will take more than 10 hours to drive, almost 12 hours. Lu Yunxi then said, that's 6 hours. This really shocked Lu Mingui, it was too fast. It took her almost 2 months. Lu Yunxi smiled at her, the roads are different. How smooth is the highway? The power is also different. It burns gasoline. That's true. Lu Mingui looked at the road ahead. Driving on such a road, there wasn't a single bump in the road. 2 hours later, the car was parked outside a factory. The old factory building had peeling paint and the red factory name had faded. The gate slowly opened, and several people in work uniforms came out to greet them. The person in charge was a woman in her 40s. She extended both hands in welcome. Hello, I am Chen Si, the factory manager of Runfang Skincare Products. You must be the chairman of Daming. Chen Si never expected that the chairman of Daming would come to see him in person, and not for an acquisition but simply for a cooperation. Lu Yunxi shook the other person's hand and smiled. Yes, I am Lu Yunxi from Tadming. She then introduced Lu Mingui. This is Ms. Lu Mingui, the actual investor in our Daming. Chen Si hurriedly extended his hand again, and Lu Mingui quickly followed Lu Yunxi's example and shook hands with him. The two sides had now met. As for the investor, she provided the money. When did that happen? It seems that this is the title Lu Yunxi gave herself. After she had a haphazard tour of the factory and sat down in the conference room with the others, she realized that the face cream she had bought was produced there. No wonder Lu Yunxi said that there's no need to squeeze face cream into bottles one by one. Everyone has some kind of machine that can directly put the face cream into bags or bottles. Chairman Lu, Ms. Lu, what you just visited is our production workshop. Chen Si gave a brief introduction and then had someone bring out a box of face cream. This is a milk-based moisturizing face cream customized according to Chairman Lu's requirements. The packaging uses a hand-fired white porcelain bottle with an antique-style lotus scroll pattern, giving it a classic and elegant feel. One box contains 50 grams of face cream. Including the porcelain bottle packaging, labor costs, and losses, the cost price is about 12 yuan. Lu Yunxi held it in her hand and examined it carefully for a while before handing it to Lu Mingui. Grandma, what do you think of this? Chapter 254 Cooperation. Lu Mingui took it in her hand and was immediately pleasantly surprised. This is exactly what I want. The porcelain vase is small and delicate, with a cool touch, and the intertwined floral pattern on it is very exquisite and beautiful to look at. When I opened the lid again, a faint milky aroma wafted out, it still smelled so good. However satisfied he was, he remained calm on the surface. She was afraid that if she showed her joy, it would affect Lu Yunxi's bargaining with the other party. Unexpectedly, Lu Yunxi saw through her feelings and immediately decided, let's do it this way and produce 1,000 bottles first. Of course, 1,000 bottles is not a lot, but we are just starting out and need to test the waters first. In addition, I need several kinds of face creams, I can't rely on just one. For example, some contain pearl powder, astragalus, centella asiatica, etc. In addition to moisturizing, they also have the effects of whitening, removing yellowing, and anti-aging. The corresponding porcelain bottles and packaging must also be updated. There's no need to list ingredients on the packaging. Just right, Lu's special research, the simpler and more elegant the better. The R&D funding will also be provided by Daming. We will set up a fully automated production line. We will invest 6 million upfront, and you can figure out the rest yourselves. After all, you are the professionals. By the way, we can sign the contract today. She called to Xiao Lu, bring out the prepared contract. Chen Si couldn't believe it. Ever since she received a phone call a few days ago from someone claiming to be the chairman of Mingda who was coming to visit the site, she had prepared a lot of materials and even made a PPT. These PPT slides haven't even been shown yet, and the other party is already asking to place an order so easily. Don't you think all big companies like to do this? Is the woman in front of her really the chairman of Daming? Surely he's not a scammer. What would they do with such a small, nearly bankrupt factory? The production assistant quickly leaned over and whispered, Factory manager, it's definitely him. He's been on magazines and TV, he is indeed the chairman of Mingda Group. Such elegance cannot be faked. Chen Si felt a sense of relief, but then something occurred to her, and she stared intently at Lu Yunxi's face. I didn't hear wrong, did I? If you're looking to acquire our Runfang, I can only tell you, it's absolutely impossible. You big companies acquire factories not to produce our skincare products. Either they demolish it and build office buildings, or they change the skin and become foreign products. She remembered that last time a company used the pretense of signing an order, but actually wanted to acquire the factory. As Chen Si spoke, her throat tightened. I started working here after graduating from vocational school at 18, and worked my way up to the position of factory manager. I've watched the factory rise and fall, but no matter how bad it gets, I'll stick it out. I can't let a generation's hard work be ruined in my hands. Lu Mingui saw that she suddenly became agitated and guessed that this person had been deceived in the past. Although she didn't understand the terms, building, or skinning, she was still confused. But she knew that she had no other intentions, she just wanted to start a small business. Just as he was about to offer some words of comfort, Lu Yunxi calmly said, Director Chen, there's no need to get agitated. I know you want to stay and protect the factory, but how you protect it matters. Staying in this empty shell, we can't get into supermarkets offline, and online sales orders are few and far between. It's only a matter of time before it goes bankrupt. If the factory goes bankrupt, what good are your products, processes, and raw materials, no matter how good they are? So many workers will have to find other jobs. A few words from her almost made Chen Si cry. Lu Yunxi quickly toned it down, she was used to speaking sharply to outsiders. He added, let's take a look at the contract first. We will not interfere with your production. Only when you receive investment funds can workers have jobs and machines keep running. Chen Si finally calmed down, took the contract and looked at it. It really was just an order contract. She couldn't believe it. Am I seeing things? Is it really an order contract? You're really going to invest 6 million. Although the first batch of orders was only 1,000 bottles, the investment amounted to a full 6 million. This money is enough for the factory to set up a new production line or replace the old machines. In short, it was a huge sum of money for them. Enough to save the factory. Lu Yunxi nodded. The first payment is 6 million, and the subsequent payments will depend on whether your products are worth our continued investment. Mingda has always wanted to find an established factory with solid craftsmanship and high-quality materials to cooperate with. And your Runfang happens to meet our requirements. It's quite a coincidence that Ms. Lu next to me has used your products and thought they were good, which led to this collaboration. Chen Si became more and more excited as she listened. She stepped forward and grasped Lu Minggui's hand. Ms. Lu, thank you for your recognition of Runfang. I assure you, our process will remain unchanged. No, we will improve our process. But we will still use the best raw materials, and Runfang will certainly live up to your trust. Lu Mingui was shaken by her excitement and hurriedly said, no need to thank me, it's because your face cream is so good, it's your own skill. Lu Yunxi hurriedly tried to save her ancestor. If the shaking continued like this, it would make people dizzy. She extended her hand to Chen Si. It's a pleasure to work with you. Even after seeing the two off, Chen Si was still very excited. Li Qinchin, call over a few group leaders, let's have a meeting. If we can seize this opportunity, we won't have to worry about the factory surviving. The assistant was equally excited, agreed, and hurriedly ran to the workshop. On the bus, Lu Mingui sighed, good heavens, 6 million. So much money has been spent in the blink of an eye. There are so many that you can't even count them on your fingers. She wasn't very confident and said in a low voice, I don't know if I can make any money by taking this over. I don't want to lose money. Lu Yunxi lowered the screen inside the car before saying, it's alright even if we lose money, it was just a trial anyway. Moreover, it can also help the rise of domestic products. Seeing our own brands being recognized by more people is also a meaningful thing. Madam, after you get back, remember to look for similar shops, visit several, and see how they display their items and what their prices are. Write everything down, and I'll analyze it for you. I'll tell you what products we should sell and what products we should promote. Lu Mingui nodded, understanding that she was being taught how to do business, and quickly wrote it all down. Lu Yunxi sighed, it's a pity I can't go, otherwise I could have taken care of everything. However, ma'am, I believe in you. You can definitely do it. Chapter 255 Smashing. Lu Mingui was confused by what she said, and then her confidence soared. After returning home, I thought about looking around at the rouge shops to see what kind of things they sold. Lu Yunxi said, "This is called research." The next morning, Lu Mingui took Song Xiaoqiu for a stroll on Yinshan Street. On the entire Yinshan Street, there was only one rouge shop, or rather, half a shop, as the other half was a pastry shop. The sign at the entrance simply reads, "Rouge and Perfume Cream." As Lu Mingui stepped inside, a medley of aromas wafted into his nostrils. There were no customers in the shop, and it wasn't very well stocked. It was extremely clean. The shop owner was an elderly woman, about 40 or 50 years old. She was very thin, with her hair neatly combed and adorned with a silk flower. Her face was lightly powdered, but it couldn't hide her wrinkles. Even so, it's clear that she was quite beautiful when she was young. The old woman was still busy with her work. Hearing someone enter, she looked up and greeted, "What would you like, sister-in-law?" "We have face powder and rouge." Lu Mingui immediately noticed the perfume she was making in her hands. "Buy a box of perfume for my daughter." The old woman looked at Song Xiaoqiu happily and exclaimed, "This young lady is truly beautiful." He then handed over the perfume bomb in his hand. "Smell it." "I made it myself. Doesn't it smell good? It's very moisturizing, and it only costs 30 coins. And there's Hollyhock Rouge, only 20 coins, it makes your complexion look better." Lu Mingui picked out a box of rose-scented balm, paid 30 copper coins, and then inquired, "Why is your shop only half-sized?" "Along the way, I haven't seen a single shop. One half of the room is for making cosmetics, and the other half is for eating, it's really a mismatch." The old woman carefully counted the coins, put them away, and then said, "It's a long story." Perhaps because Lu Mingui and her son both looked kind, she started talking as well. "My original surname was Huang. When I was young, my parents sold me to a man as a concubine. Who knew that he would die after only 3 months? The mistress gave me some silver and kicked me out of the mansion. Her whole family moved to the capital. I was kicked out of the house and only then did I find out I was pregnant. But I didn't know where I could go back to. Fortunately, I still have some skills. I can make rouge and fragrance, which is enough to support myself and my son. Later, I saved up enough money to buy this house." A fleeting happiness appeared on Granny Huang's face. She sighed and said, "It's a pity that I've had bad luck in this life. When I was young, my parents sold me. Later, I couldn't take care of my son because of the need to make a living. He picked up a gambling habit outside and gambled away my whole house. I knelt down and begged the creditor for mercy. He only left me this half room. I can still do business after paying the rent every month. My son felt guilty towards me, so he jumped into the canal and lost his life." Hearing these words, Lu Mingui felt a pang of sorrow. She never expected that her casual question would lead to someone else's lifelong heartbreak. She glanced at the back of the shop, where there was a small clay stove, and the legs of a wooden bed were faintly visible behind the curtain. She guessed that this old woman, Huang, ate and slept in this small room. Song Xiaoqiu lowered her head and wiped away her tears. "Old Mrs. Huang quickly wiped away her tears and said, "It's all my fault for making the young lady cry. Let's not talk about that. How about you try this lip rouge from my shop? It really complements your skin tone." Lu Mingui apologized to her first, and then said, "My daughter is easily moved to tears, please don't take offense." Old woman Huang said, "It's because the young lady is kind-hearted." Then, as if remembering something, she exclaimed, "You're new here, aren't you? Is it the house next to the cloth shop?" Lu Mingui nodded quickly. "That's right." Old Mrs. Huang then asked, "Your shop has the best location. What kind of business do you plan to do?" Upon being asked this question, Lu Mingui felt a little guilty, as she had come to conduct research and was in the same profession as Granny Huang. Seeing how pitiful Granny Huang was, she hesitated even more. Old Mrs. Huang makes a living by selling cosmetics. If she were to open her own shop, wouldn't that cut off other people's livelihood? Then I thought, I made the porcelain bottle myself, and all the pottery jars here are earthenware jars. Moreover, the face cream is more delicate than the ones here. I originally intended to set a high price, which doesn't conflict with Huang Posi's business." Just as I was hesitating about how to answer, the wooden door was slammed shut. An older man, accompanied by 2 strong men, blocked the entrance. "Old Mrs. Huang, shouldn't the rent for this month be paid by now? It's been several days overdue." Old Mrs. Huang forced a smile and pleaded, "Manager Wang, please grant me a few more days. I'm really short on cash. I just opened today and I've already sold 1 box of rouge." As she spoke, she took out the 30 coins that Lu Mingui had just given her, and poured out the pottery jar containing the money, which contained about 1 string of cash. "Please keep this for now, I'll think of something else." Manager Wang glanced at the copper coins with disdain and said, "It's not that I'm unwilling, but that the owner is unwilling. Last time our master said he'd give me a maximum of half a month's grace period, and I've already made several trips already. We're still short 500 coins. Old Mrs. Huang smiled ingratiatingly and said, "If I raise some more money in the next few days, I'll definitely be able to pay the rent. Please, shopkeeper, go back and say a few good words for this old woman." She then took another 5 coins and stuffed them into Manager Wang's hand. Manager Wang looked disgusted and shook off her hand. "HMPH. Are you trying to fob me off like a beggar? If you can't hand over the rent, then smash them all." Upon hearing this, the 2 burly men behind him were about to step forward and start smashing things. Old Mrs. Huang hurriedly stopped her, saying, "Shopkeeper, shopkeeper, there are women in my shop. Don't disturb them." But the burly man wouldn't listen. With a flick of his wrist, he sent the troublesome old woman Huang out the door. Huang staggered a few steps, but ultimately lost her balance and fell to the ground. Song Xiaoqiu exclaimed in surprise and ran over to help Granny Huang up. Knowing he was no match for the strong man and powerless to stop it, Lu Mingui could only slip along the wall and head out of the shop. Fortunately, although these men were arrogant, they did not lay a hand on her. Inside the shop, the sounds of smashing and breaking echoed, while a large crowd of onlookers gathered outside. Song Xiaoqiu helped Granny Huang up and saw that her face was ashen, but thankfully she was still holding on and hadn't fainted. As Huang Pozi listened to the sounds of smashing and breaking, she felt as if her own flesh was being torn apart. She tried to rush into the shop to stop her, but Song Xiaoqiu held her tightly. "Auntie, you can't go. Those people are ruthless. If you go, you'll just get beaten up for nothing." Her eyes reddened again as she spoke, and she asked, "Mother, what should we do?" Lu Mingui sighed. She could afford to pay 500 coins, but since they were not related, she really didn't want to get involved with this rich man surnamed Wang. Moreover, you can only help in an emergency, not in a long-term solution. It's obvious that Granny Huang's shop can't survive. Even if you pay her this month's rent, what about next month? After hesitating for a moment, unable to bear watching the shop being smashed, she decided to speak up and stop it. "At worst, we'll just throw away these 500 coins. Just then, several shouts came from outside the crowd. "What are you doing? What are you all gathered around for?" The crowd parted, and a man dressed as an archer walked over, immediately spotting Song Xiaoqiu. Song Xiaoqiu also saw him. Wasn't this Zhang Yuanzhou? Chapter 256 Helping. Zhang Yuanzhou felt a surge of joy. "That day, I only heard that the Song family went to Guo Lane, but I didn't know the specifics." Later, he searched in Guaoshang village for several days, but there were no newly moved-in families with the surname Song or Lu. "After inquiring for several days, I was almost beaten up as a thief who was scouting the area. Unexpectedly, the person I had been searching for so long suddenly appeared before me. He hurried over and asked, 'What are you doing here? What happened?' Song Xiaoqiu looked anxious. 'Those people are smashing up the shop, it's Aunt Huang's only livelihood.' Zhang Yuanzhou saw that her eyes were red as if she had been crying, and he couldn't help but feel angry. Had she been bullied? He nodded, quickly walked into the shop, and shouted, 'Stop!' Manager Wang turned around and looked him up and down. Seeing that the man was just an archer, he didn't take him seriously. Instead, he put his hands on his hips and sneered, 'Who are you? How dare you meddle in the affairs of the Wang family?' Zhang Yuanzhou didn't care about the wealthy man and said in a deep voice, 'Smashing someone's shop in broad daylight, do you want to cause trouble at the county government and get a beating?' Manager Wang was humiliated and became even more furious. They've already mentioned the Wang family's name, and this hothead still dares to stop them. Where did this ignorant brat come from? Daring to challenge me? He was used to being arrogant and took a step forward to make a move, but he was no match for Zhang Yuanzhou. Zhang Yuanzhou was already furious because they had bullied Song Xiaoqiu earlier, so he kicked Manager Wang to the ground. Shopkeeper Wang cried out, 'Ouch!' a few times, feeling a sharp pain in his lower back. He struggled to his feet, wanting to rush over and fight Zhang Yuanzhou, but a servant grabbed his sleeve. 'Second manager, this man cannot be touched. Shopkeeper Wang shoved him aside. He's just an archer, it's not like the inspector himself came. What are you afraid of? The servant then said, I have a brother who works in the county government. I went to look for him a few days ago and happened to see this man, so I asked him about him. Although he is just a lowly archer, his uncle is Magistrate Zhang of Changzhou County. Shopkeeper Wang was filled with doubt and suspicion. He looked closely at Zhang Yuanzhou and saw that his eyes were clear and upright, and he did indeed resemble Magistrate Zhang somewhat. He couldn't help but wonder, if he's the magistrate's nephew, why would he be a soldier in the Wuda patrol office? Is he just bored? Despite his grumbling, he had already come to believe it, since the Wang family couldn't afford to offend the county magistrate. He put on a smiling face and explained, Sir, you don't know the truth. This old woman owes my master rent and keeps delaying. I'm just following orders. On orders. Zhang Yuanzhou sneered. On whose orders? Who gave you permission to break into a private residence and assault people? He added, paying back debts is a matter of course, but what kind of logic is it to come up here and smash things, and even injure people? Seeing that the other party had lowered their stance, Zhang Yuanzhou did not stand on ceremony and continued, why not give that old woman a few more days? Otherwise, I'm determined to meddle in this matter today. Manager Wang felt a pain in his waist from the kick, and hearing that the other party was still relentless, he knew that he would definitely not get the rent today. He had no choice but to back down, glaring at Granny Huang and gritting his teeth. Fine, I'll give you face today and let her go. I'll come back to collect the rent in 5 days. If you still can't hand it over, Granny Huang, you'd better pack your bags and get out of here. After he left with 2 servants, the onlookers dispersed. Song Xiaoqiu hurriedly helped Granny Huang into the shop, only to find it in complete disarray. The table had been overturned, and the rouge that had been being made was scattered all over the floor. Most of the bottles and jars in the counter were lying on the floor. Old Mrs. Huang burst into tears and squatted down to pick them up, but her hands were shaking so badly that she couldn't pick them up at all. Lu Mingui squatted down to help, only to find that the rouge and face powder were covered in dust or stained with color, mixed in with the broken ceramic pieces, and there was no need to clean them up at all. Seeing this, Song Xiaoqiu couldn't help but shed tears again. Zhang Yuanzhou hurriedly pulled out a handkerchief and handed it to her, saying, You mustn't cry. Did they bully you just now? I'm going to find them and settle the score. Song Xiaoqiu didn't take the handkerchief, but wiped away her tears herself and shook her head, saying, No, I just feel sorry for Aunt Huang. Those people are not to be trifled with, don't go after them. Okay, I won't chase after them, but please don't cry anymore. When Lu Mingui heard her daughter and Zhang Yuanzhou talking, she felt inexplicably that something was wrong. She looked over curiously. Zhang Yuanzhou looked helpless, and his daughter had her head down, so his expression was not clear, but his reddened ears were visible. This is. Lu Mingui felt a buzzing in her head. She wanted to find another husband for her daughter, but she felt that Zhang Yuanzhou was not suitable. She asked last time, and the child is only 19 this year, a year younger than Xiao Chu. My parents are both dead, and I have no one to help me. Lu Mingui still remembers how much hardship she would have suffered if it weren't for her family's help when she married Song Changye. Most importantly, my daughter is divorced. Although Lu Mingui felt that divorce was no big deal, would other families accept it? Don't let your daughter fall in love only to be hurt again. Thinking of this, she pulled Song Xiaoqiu behind her and said to Zhang Yuanzhou, Brother Zhang, thank you so much for today. It's a mess here. We'll find a chance to thank you after we've cleaned up. Zhang Yuanzhou knew they were trying to get rid of him, but he didn't want to leave. I finally saw Song Xiaoqiu, but I still don't know where she lives. If we just leave like this, who knows when we'll see each other again? He stammered and changed the subject. Auntie, I have some spare change, which can help this old lady with her rent. As he spoke, he took out a money pouch from his chest and handed it to Granny Huang. Auntie, take this money and go pay your rent first. But Granny Huang did not accept it. Her heart was filled with despair, and she said with a bitter smile, No need. My shop is going to have to close down. It wasn't making any money to begin with, and now it's been smashed up like this. But as she spoke, she could no longer hold back her tears. I still have the rouge and face powder I bought on credit, it's all gone. It's all gone. Why can't these people give me a way to live? The cries were heart-wrenching, and the 3 people in the shop felt a pang of sorrow in their hearts. Lu Mingui felt a pang of sadness and couldn't help but hold Huang Posi's hand and ask, Old sister, what are your plans for the future? Song Xiaoqiu also looked over nervously, afraid that Granny Huang might do something rash. Chapter 257 Recruiting. Old Huang wiped away her tears forcefully, the thin powder on her face already washed away by the tears, leaving deep and shallow lines. She said, "Those people want me to die sooner so they can make room for others, but I'm not going to die. Tomorrow I'm going to become a peddler, going from street to street selling rouge and face powder. To believe they can break my legs." As she spoke, it was as if she had regained her courage, and her lifeless eyes lit up again. Lu Mingui secretly praised her. This old woman was indeed strong-willed. If it were anyone else, they probably wouldn't have been able to hold on after losing their last possession. But she only cried for a while, and then she quickly mustered up her strength again. That's admirable. Such people are worth recruiting. She thought for a moment and then said carefully, "Sister, to be honest, my family is currently preparing to open a rouge shop. I came here today to see how the rouge shops in Suzhou run their businesses, but I never expected to encounter this. Since you have nowhere to go now, you might as well come to my place. I dare not say I can guarantee you great wealth and status, but at least I can ensure you have enough to eat and wear for the rest of your life." Old woman Huang was taken aback. "You're willing to use me?" Lu Mingui nodded. "Yes, I want to open a rouge shop, but I don't know much about that. We're short-staffed, and you happen to be an expert, skilled in perfumery and powder making. Would you be interested? But I'm too old and useless." Old woman Huang still couldn't believe it. "If I go to your place, I'm afraid I'll be a burden." Lu Mingui thought to himself, how can someone who is not even 50 years old be old and useless? You know, Lu Yunxi is over 50 years old, but she's very energetic. Song Xiaoqiu chimed in, "Auntie, you just said you could still sell yourself, how come you're saying you're useless now? Actually, being a street vendor is very hard work. You have to carry a load on your shoulders and walk through the streets and alleys to sell your wares. It would be better to come to our house. You won't be exposed to the wind or rain. It's definitely better than being a womanizer." Huang Posey's eyes were filled with struggle. "You really want to use me? I may be skillful, but I can't keep up with the latest trends, otherwise I wouldn't have ended up like this. If it causes you to lose your principal, that would be a real sin." Lu Mingui replied without hesitation, "Of course, food and lodging are provided, plus wages. How about it? As for losing money, there's even less to worry about." She had just seen the rouge made by Granny Huang. The color was beautiful and the smell was wonderful. She was definitely skilled at making it, and bringing it home would be a good idea. He further advised, "If we can't keep up with the trends, we'll just create our own. What's there to be afraid of?" She has confidence in the face cream. After a long silence, Huang Posey's hesitation gradually dissipated, and she grasped Lu Mingui's hand in return. "Okay. Since you trust me, I have no more worries. I'll take out all my secret recipes and share them with you without holding anything back." The two smiled at each other and exchanged names. Huang Posey's real name is Huang Ying. She is only 4 years older than Lu Mingui this year. She has no children and lives all alone. The rouge shop was now in complete disarray, so the group simply packed up Huang Ying's daily necessities and brought them to the Song family. Zhang Yuanzhou naturally followed suit, busying himself with various tasks. Seeing this, Lu Mingui felt uneasy and just wanted to get rid of the person before asking her daughter what she thought. Granny Huang was placed in the side room where miscellaneous items used to be stored. Although the side room was not large, it must have been inhabited before, as it had a ready-made wooden bed, which was much better than what Granny Huang used to live in. Lu Mingui helped pay the rent owed by Granny Huang, and from then on, she had no further dealings with the Wang family. Granny Huang was moved to tears and stayed with the Song family with peace of mind. She took the initiative to sign a contract, becoming a long-term worker for the Song family in name only. However, the Song family members, as well as Lu Mingui, all came from poor backgrounds and did not have such habits, treating her only as family. Granny Huang made cosmetics in the backyard every day without avoiding Lu Mingui and the others. On the contrary, she taught them a lot about cosmetics. Lu Mingui then realized that Suzhou Prefecture was a prosperous place, with many rouge shops in the Changeman or Shantang Street area, as well as Xinghua shops that specialized in women's products. Yinshan Street was a bit remote, which is why there was only one rouge shop there. And the products sold in ordinary rouge shops are even more diverse. Makeup powder for the face, rouge for the lips, soap for cleansing the face, hair oil, sachets, etc. Old Mrs. Huang said, "Although this place is remote, the rouge shop should still be opened as soon as possible. After all, it's a unique business, and someone might get jealous and snatch it away. Now that it's open, our local girls and wives will have a place to buy rouge, saving them the trouble of going to other places, which is inconvenient. He also pulled out a yellowed book called The Scented Dresser's Refinement. There are many recipes for preserving youth in this book. I have learned a lot from it, and you can all take a look. Unfortunately, apart from Lu Mingui, Song Xiaoqiu and Shen Juya knew even fewer characters and still had to rely on Granny Huang to teach them. There are over 200 different kinds of products, such as Taijun Red Jade Cream, and 7 Fragrances Nourishing Powder. Lu Mingui felt increasingly being illiterate was really inconvenient, and she was determined to find a teacher once everything was settled. After that, she made a special trip to Shantang Street, which took half a day. This experience has been incredibly beneficial. She originally lived at the foot of the mountain and would occasionally go to the market. The cosmetics shops in the town had very little stock. Therefore, I have seen very few things. That's why I was so surprised to see soap in the department store in the market. If someone from Suzhou Prefecture, who had seen the world, saw the soap, they would only think, not bad, not that they had never seen it before. Now, after listening to Granny Huang's words and witnessing it with her own eyes, Lu Mingui realized that there were many good things to be had. She discussed with her family that the rouge shop should be opened as soon as possible. First, divide the shop in front into 2 rooms. A wooden partition is installed in the middle, with pine wood lining the inside. The counter should be exquisite, furnished with tables and chairs for guests, and specializes in selling high-end lip balm, face cream, and soap. Outside, there was a simple wooden counter that sold only cheap soap and household face powder. I found a carpenter on the street to make the cabinet. During these few days, Granny Huang was making perfume and other similar products in the backyard. Song Xiaodong, on the other hand, built a small chicken coop in the backyard and bought a few more chickens to raise inside. Taking advantage of this moment, Lu Mingui called Song Xiaoqiu into the room and asked, "What do you think of the Zhang family's young master?" Upon hearing this, Song Xiaoqiu's face flushed red, and she remained silent for a long time. Lu Mingui wasn't in a hurry. "Xiaoqiu, this is just a chance for us mother and daughter to have a heart-to-heart talk. Look at this kid, he's always running around here. If he does this for a long time, it'll start to cause gossip. There are too many neighbors on both sides, and they're all looking at me with disapproval. I was just thinking that if you were interested, I would go and inquire about it. If it's unintentional, we should talk to that kid as soon as possible. He's always running this way with a big grin, like a flower in bloom. What exactly is he trying to do?" Unexpectedly, Song Xiaoqiu's face slowly paled, and she finally managed to speak. "Mother, I am a divorced person. And he's a year older than him. He doesn't know anything about it. If he did." The rest of the words were left unsaid, but Lu Mingui understood. "My daughter only expressed her concerns, but she didn't say she had no intention of being nice." "That means it was intentional." Lu Mingui sighed inwardly. When did all this happen? How did they fall for each other? Chapter 258 Buying Mountain. Lu Mingui couldn't bear to see her daughter with her head down, looking so dejected. She said unhappily, "So what if we get a divorce? What terrible sin is divorce? Don't be so dejected. Just tell your mother what your plans are for this matter." Song Xiaoqiu looked up, her face blank. She didn't know what to do. She could talk to Zhang Yuanzhou and explain that she was divorced, but she just couldn't bring herself to say it. Besides, he had never told me his feelings. Lu Mingui, however, felt that even a blind man could see it, and besides, this matter couldn't be delayed. "Daughter, we can't keep them hanging on. We should just say what needs to be said. If he looks down on you because of this, then he's not the right person for you. A short pain is worse than a long one. It's better for everyone to see things clearly sooner rather than later. If you really don't want to talk about it, then I'll go and tell them." Song Xiaoqiu quickly shook her head. "Mother, I'm already 20 years old, how can I expect you to stand up for me in everything? I will find an opportunity to explain things to him as soon as possible, don't worry." Lu Mingui had no choice but to give up for now and went alone with her basket toward Yinshan. She was still thinking about the wild vegetables. She couldn't let Chen Yang's family go hungry. The winters in Baoding Prefecture are dry and cold, with strong winds. Even before the coldest part of winter, the land is already a scorched yellow. The situation in Suzhou Prefecture was different. At this time, the countryside was still covered in lush greenery. It's chilly when the sun isn't out, but once the sun comes out, it's warm and cozy when you put your cotton-padded clothes on it. Yinshan is not high, only a dozen meters high, but there are quite a few shepherd's purse plants on the mountain. Lu Mingui took out a sickle and dug it up, pointing the sickle tip at the bottom of the shepherd's purse and digging it out along with the roots, so that it would taste even better. I don't know how much they dug, but suddenly I heard someone shout, "Old woman, you can't dig here. This place belongs to someone." Lu Mingui looked up and saw several people standing on the hillside, looking at her. She quickly stood up. "I'm leaving now. It turns out that this place is not like my hometown, Desong Mountain, which is remote and neglected. Because it's close to the town, it's already a place that's been taken." Those people didn't pay any attention and continued talking. One of them said, "It's just a barren mountain, how can we possibly ask for 2 taels of silver per mu?" Another person said, "Is 2 taels of silver a lot? Even a small plot of land down the mountain costs 8 taels of silver." The two sides started arguing. 2 taels of silver, sell it to a ghost. What kind of logic is this, doing things the way you do it? "I'm not buying anymore, I'm not buying anymore." The sound grew louder and louder. Soon, some people went down the mountain, leaving only one person standing there, fuming. He yelled at their retreating figures, "Go ahead and leave. I won't sell to you again if you want to buy from me." Lu Mingui heard it clearly. This person wanted to sell this barren mountain, but they couldn't reach an agreement with the buyer. Looking down at the mountain, it was uncultivated and covered in wild grass. The withered yellow grass and the grass with green leaves were mixed together, giving it a desolate feel. The valuable trees had long been cut down, leaving only the saplings that hadn't grown to maturity. There were plenty of wild shepherd's purse inside, and she could imagine the wild vegetables covering the mountains and fields in spring. Oh, and there must be wood ear mushrooms, those fungi. She looked at the man, who appeared to be in his 30s, and then raised her voice to ask, "Young man, are you looking to sell the mountain?" The man looked her up and down, then asked suspiciously, "So what if it is? Can you afford it?" Lu Mingui laughed and said, "Whether we can afford it or not, we still have to discuss it." The man nodded. "That's right. That guy surnamed Li was trying to lower my price, as if I was begging him to buy it. Since they look down on me like that, I'm not going to sell to them." He figured it out and immediately introduced himself warmly. "This lady, my surname is Chen, but people call me Chen Ada. Judging from your accent, you're from the north." Lu Mingui nodded. "Exactly." Chen Ada said, "Now that we've come to Suzhou Prefecture, we should acquire some land. My family's forest covers a total of 40.3 mu. It was surveyed a few years ago and there are red marks on it. There are 10 acres of excellent Chungni clay facing north, which can be used to fire bricks. This area under our feet is about 30 acres, all good soil. It can be used as a mulberry garden or tea garden, or even for farming. Oh, by the way, there's a great spring over there that has water all year round. It's perfect for making wine and brewing tea. Such a good mountain, only 2 taels of silver per mu, it's a great deal." Lu Mingui listened to what he said, which sounded very reasonable and all of his points were good, and all of them were merits. Moreover, 2 taels of silver, while not cheap, is much more worthwhile than buying dry land. Thinking about it this way, she hesitated. Such a good mountain forest was abandoned. Was it her turn to pick up a bargain? It seems I need to find out more about this. Seeing her like this, Chen Ada muttered, "See, you're just joking with me, you don't really want to buy it." What a waste of breath. Lu Mingui thought to himself, this person really doesn't know how to talk. No wonder he angered the other person and drove them away. Just as I was about to leave, someone called out from afar, "Auntie! Auntie!" Lu Yongkong ran over. "You looked familiar just now, it really is my aunt, what are you doing here? Why don't you come over and have a seat at my place?" Lu Mingui said, "I came to dig for wild vegetables, so I didn't go to your house. It just so happened that this family was selling the mountain, so I asked them a few more questions." Lu Yongkong asked in surprise, "Sell the mountain? Why would you sell it when everything is fine?" Chen Ada sneered, "Fine, I'll sell. What's it to you? Just say you can't afford it, instead of asking around. How can you talk like that?" Lu Yongkong snapped, "How do you know if it's worth it if you don't ask? Who knows if there's something fishy going on?" Chen Ada turned to leave, but Lu Mingui stopped him. "Didn't you say there were springs in these mountains? If you don't show us around, how can we decide whether to buy or not? That's several dozen taels of silver, not just a few coins." Chen Ada then stopped in his tracks. Go ahead and watch. He walked ahead, saying as he went, look, there are a few bayberry trees here, planted by my father back then, but nobody takes care of them. Those 2 are loquat trees, and there are 2 peach trees. When Lu Mingui first saw the bayberry tree, he saw that the branches were all messy and untended, and it was clear that no one had taken care of it. The spring is just ahead. There was a gurgling sound of flowing water. Lu Mingui went over to take a look and saw that the spring water was clear and cold. She exclaimed, this mountain is truly wonderful. Chen Ada was a little happier and shouted, my home is in Guo Lane, would I lie to you? 2 taels of silver per mu, that's not expensive at all. If I weren't too lazy to take care of it, and if my family didn't rely on this place, I wouldn't want to sell it. Chapter 259 Explanation. Lu Mingui carefully examined the mountain forest, becoming more and more satisfied with it. After some further calculation, she realized she still had over 170 taels of silver. She couldn't spend it all. She had to set aside 50 taels for her rouge business and 20 taels for shop renovations. The remaining silver is enough to buy the mountain. Moreover, once the mountain is purchased, there's no need to buy dry land for the time being. Yongkong, my aunt wants to buy this hilltop. What do you think? Lu Yongkong hesitated for a moment and said, Auntie, the mountain is nice, but it's very barren. I bought it to start clearing land, but I don't know how long it will take. Besides, what are we going to plant after clearing the land? Fruit trees take several years to grow and bear fruit. Wouldn't that be a waste of so many years? And the 10 acres of mountain land to the north is just clay, nothing can be grown there. Lu Mingui nodded in agreement. Yes, that makes sense. There are already so few of us in the family. It would be so upsetting to buy something and leave it unused. Lu Yongkong added, and another thing, Aunt, you know, this family isn't short of money, so why not take such a good mountain? Why not just hire people? Chen Ada, who was listening from the other end, said impatiently, what do you know? I urgently need the money. Otherwise, I wouldn't sell it. If you really want to buy, we'll give you a discount. I'll give you a price of 1 tael and 8 mace per mu. Any less and we won't sell. 1 tael and 8 mace, Lu Mingui calculated, that's a full 8 taels of silver cheaper. It's time to buy it. And she doesn't plan to plant any other fruit trees, just wild vegetables. Xu Yang said that shepherd's purse can be planted, and they will find a way to buy seeds later. So he nodded reluctantly, saying, although the mountain isn't very good, this spring is quite nice. These old bayberry trees are still all right. But how is the tax deed calculated? Seeing that a deal was likely to be made, Chen Ada's attitude immediately improved. He said, you have a good eye. Even though this bayberry tree is neglected, it still bears fruit every year. The fruit is big and sweet, not sour at all, and it's great for making wine. I'll pay the tax and deed fee. Then I will go find a guarantor first, and then draw up a deed for the sale of the mountain. My sister-in-law will come with me, and there is no need to pay a deposit. Just sign the land sale deed directly, then go to the county government office to sign the documents and transfer the ownership. I have only one request. I want cash, not paper money. Lu Mingui was surprised by his urgency and nodded in agreement. The 3 of them went down the mountain together. Lu Yongkong seized the opportunity to ask in a low voice, Auntie, are you really going to buy it? Lu Mingui also asked him in a low voice, weren't you just helping me bargain? Lu Yongkong was dumbfounded. When did he help him bargain? Those were the truth. And isn't this a bit too hasty? Fearing his aunt might act impulsively, he hurriedly went to find his father to persuade her. Lu Mingui went home first to get the money. When Xiao Chu found out, she didn't try to persuade her, and simply accompanied her to the county government's household registration office. It was just a coincidence that, as soon as they passed through the ceremonial gate, they saw Zhang Yuanzhou walking out in high spirits. Upon seeing Song Xiaoqiu, he was taken aback for a moment, then grinned and greeted her. Meanwhile, Song Xiaoqiu remembered what her mother had just said, and immediately lowered her head, not daring to look him in the eye. Zhang Yuanzhou then noticed Lu Mingui and hurriedly called out, Auntie, what brings you here? Lu Mingui was also puzzled. Why was this kid running to the county government office? I remember he was wearing the uniform of an archer that day, so he shouldn't be on duty at the county office. But he's wearing regular clothes today. Does that mean the patrol inspectorate doesn't want him anymore? Before she could answer, Chen Ada waved the oil paper package in his hand and said with a smile, Officer, the Lu family bought my forest. We've come to transfer the ownership. Transfer of ownership. Zhang Yuanzhou didn't ask any further questions and led the group back. Come with me. The head of the Household Affairs Office, Zhou, was sitting in the room reviewing documents when he saw him enter. He quickly stood up and asked, Yuanzhou, are you here? Is there something you need? Zhang Yuanzhou respectfully greeted him, Mr. Zhou. Then he explained his purpose. This is an aunt I know, she's here to transfer the property. Clerk Zhou glanced at Lu Mingui, then at Song Xiaoqiu behind him, before turning to Chen Ada. Did you bring the land deed? I brought them all. Chen Ada hurriedly took out the land deeds, sales contracts, and household registration documents. Zhou, the registrar, took it and checked it carefully. He then said to Lu Mingui, this mountain forest must be taxed at 3 qian of silver every year. It cannot be delayed. Lu Mingui nodded and replied, understood, I will definitely pay the money on time in the future. He then said to Chen Ada, does the contract say that you will pay the tax this time? Chen Ada nodded, it's my responsibility. The clerk had already written Lu Mingui's household registration and other identity information on the new land deed. After Zhou, the registrar, reviewed it, the official seal of the household registration office was affixed. Keep this safe. This piece of land on the east side of Yinshan Mountain is now yours. Registrar Zhou handed the new land deed to Lu Mingui, instructing him, this is proof. In the future, whether it is sold or inherited, it shall be based on this. Because they were brought by Zhang Yuanzhou, he paid extra attention to them. He added, if there are any disputes about the boundary in the future, you can bring this deed to the county government. Go ahead, just don't forget to pay your taxes. Lu Mingui took the land deed, saw her name written on it, and was overjoyed. She carefully dried it before putting it in her pocket. Chen Ada received the money and left happily. As soon as the group left the house, Clerk Zhou immediately threw down his pen and rushed to find Magistrate Zhang. Magistrate Zhang frowned. Feng Xiao, when did you become so unreliable? Clerk Zhou laughed and said, Sir, didn't you always say that my nephew is slow to understand and refuses to be married? I saw him very attentive to a woman today, perhaps good things are on the horizon. Magistrate Zhang hurriedly stood up. Is what you said true? Where is it? I'll go and see. Outside the county government office. Lu Yongkang arrived with his father, only to find that everything had already been accomplished. Lu Wenli said anxiously, little sister, why didn't you find out more before buying that mountain? What if there's something fishy going on? Even if there's nothing fishy going on, we've never farmed on the mountain before. What if we don't do a good job? Wouldn't it all be for nothing? Lu Mingui gestured for him to calm down. Don't worry, there's a way. He added, brother, let's go together and see how this land reclamation is going to be done. Behind her, Song Xiaoqiu stopped and said, Mother, you go first. Lu Mingui knew that her daughter wanted to make things clear with Zhang Yuanzhou, so she gave her an encouraging look before leaving. Only after the group turned the corner and disappeared from sight did Song Xiaoqiu turn back and look at Zhang Yuanzhou not far away. Zhang Yuanzhou walked over happily and took out an oil paper package. I'm off today and I was just thinking of going to find you. This is a plum blossom cake that I bought at Xuanmiao Temple this morning. Eat it before it gets cold. Then, as if showing off a treasure, she said, look, isn't it beautiful? Doesn't it look like a plum blossom? There's also a packet of pine nut candy, I'll take it back for Man to eat. Next time I have some free time, I'll take you to Xuanmiao Temple. It's lively there every day. It's like a big market every day. Listening to his animated ramblings, Song Xiaoqiu felt a pang of sadness welling up inside her. She slowly opened her mouth and uttered a sentence. Zhang Yuanzhou, I have been divorced before. Chapter 260 Fate. When Song Xiaoqiu said those words, none of the embarrassing scenarios she had imagined actually happened, and she felt a sense of relief. Her mother was right, hesitation only leads to more trouble. Zhang Yuanzhou, I am not an inexperienced woman, I can see through your thoughts. I'll make it clear to you today that I'm divorced. You don't need to waste your time on me, lest we end up feeling awkward and resentful in the future. After saying these words, she turned and left. Zhang Yuanzhou was already pale. He never expected that the woman he fell in love with at first sight was a divorced woman. It wasn't that I disliked it, I was just shocked. She's so beautiful and wonderful, how could anyone want to divorce her? Was that man an idiot? That's right, there must be something wrong with the man. Either he's mentally challenged, or he's blind. Besides, divorce doesn't prove anything. A man could have 3 wives and 4 concubines. If he married a wife he didn't like, he would take a few more concubines to keep her company. A woman cannot marry 3 husbands or take 4 male concubines. If she encounters someone unsuitable, she can only divorce him. Besides, the fact that she met him after her divorce proves that they were destined to be together. Why didn't I run into you earlier or later? How did he end up encountering so many people coming to Suzhou? It seems we have quite a bit of fate together. Zhang Yuanzhou was not one to follow the rules, and he quickly came to an answer in his heart. For the first time in his life, he fell in love with a woman, so how could he give up so easily? Thinking this, he took a step forward to chase after her, but someone suddenly grabbed his arm. Turning around, he saw his uncle staring at him with a livid face. I heard everything, and you still won't give up. Zhang Yuanzhou, you're so foolish. How can a respectable young man like you marry a divorced woman? If people find out, where will we put our family's reputation? Hearing this from the side, Clerk Zhou secretly regretted that he had done something wrong with good intentions and should not have been so gossipy. He could only echo the sentiment, yes, Yuanzhou. It's not that she's bad, it's just the way things are. You're not young anymore. You should find a suitable young woman and settle down to live a stable life. That's the right thing to do. Zhang Yuanzhou sneered. What do you mean by marrying someone of equal social standing? I'm just a poor boy whose parents died early. People might even think I'm a jinx to their parents. I'm lucky to have found a wife in my life. Do you want me to live a lonely life forever? Unable to argue with him, Clerk Zhou immediately shut his mouth. Zhang Yuanzhou said again, Uncle, I know you mean well, but I'm marrying a wife to live with me. Why should I care what others think? If those people dare to say anything nasty, I'll teach them a lesson with my fists. Anyway, I've taken a liking to her. Whether you agree or not, I'll send a matchmaker to propose marriage tomorrow. I'll live my own life from now on, and I'll take responsibility for the good and the bad. Magistrate Zhang was so angry that he had a headache. He was about to pretend to faint when he saw Zhang Yuanzhou turn around and leave without the slightest hesitation. The traitor. The traitor. He really wanted to faint this time, but fortunately, Clerk Zhou supported him. Sir, don't get angry and hurt your health. Actually, Yuanzhou is right. Young people's feelings are just so sincere and passionate. If I had had that courage back then, I wouldn't have lost Fangyang forever. Magistrate Zhang flicked his sleeves, breaking free from Clerk Zhou. Are you going to bring up your affair with that widow again? HMPH, you too, a widower and a widow, don't try to pull a fast one on Yuanzhou. He's an honest and upright young man. Clerk Zhou's expression immediately darkened. It was my fault for being so talkative. How dare I, a mere widower, say such things? He turned and went back to his room, his back view looking utterly desolate. Magistrate Zhang looked helpless. Well, that's not what I meant. What a mess this is. When they returned to the inner quarters, Madame Zhang also learned of the matter. She advised, why are you sighing like that? Don't you know Zhouer's temperament? He's always been opinionated. Back then, you told him to study for the civil service exam, but he insisted on learning martial arts. Didn't he succeed in it too? Later, we asked him to come to Changzhou County to find a job, but he went to Wuda Patrol Office instead. Now the patrol inspector still values him quite a bit. This child is very thoughtful, you don't need to worry about him at all. Now that he has finally found a woman he likes, you're going to stop him again. Magistrate Zhang frowned. Am I supposed to just stand by and watch him marry a divorced woman? How am I supposed to explain this to my elder brother 100 years from now? Madame Zhang replied, my elder brother may not be such a pedantic person. He often did chivalrous deeds when he was young. Have you forgotten? In my opinion, divorce is not necessarily a big deal. In fact, character is more important. She suggested, why don't we try to calm Zhouer down first? I'll go and find out about that woman's character. If she's really a good one, marrying a virtuous wife would be a wonderful thing. If he's a troublemaker, we'll definitely stop him. That way, we'll have a reason to refuse Zhouer. Magistrate Zhang listened and said, all right, then hurry up and find a chance to inquire. On the other side, Song Xiaoqiu knew Zhang Yuanzhou's choice when she saw that he hadn't caught up. A pang of sadness welled up inside her, but she didn't cry. What was there to cry about? This was exactly the outcome she wanted. She forced a smile and strode after Yin Shan. Lu Mingui and his group were looking around on their own hilltop. Lu Wenli held a sickle in one hand and cut off the tangled dead branches or vines, setting them aside. Take these back and use them as firewood. He added, this piece of land is flatter, it can be cultivated to grow millet. Plant some melons and fruits there, I've heard that the melons from Suzhou Prefecture grow very well. Is there water on the mountain? Such a nice place, it would be troublesome if there was no water. Lu Mingui smiled and said, yes, Chen. Ada just pointed it out to me. It's a top-quality mountain spring. It's just ahead. Although the spring was not large, its water was extremely clear and cold. If there isn't enough water to irrigate the land, she can get water from Guanlin residents. However, judging from the weather in Suzhou Prefecture, there is plenty of rainfall, so there will definitely be no drought. Lu Yongkong said, Auntie, let's take advantage of the fact that there's less work in winter and clean up the mountain. The soil hasn't frozen yet. Yes, that's what I'm planning to do too, Lu Mingui nodded, but we need to be careful when clearing the land. There are plenty of wild vegetables in these mountains, we should dig up the wild shepherd's purse first. Speaking of wild vegetables, Lu Wenli suddenly remembered, little sister, we found different wild vegetables today. Chapter 261 Earth Chestnut. This pleased Lu Mingui, really? What kind of wild vegetable is it? Take me to see it. They grow right by Yinshan Lake, in several small rivers nearby. Lu Wenli recalled, what was it called again? Right, it's called water bamboo shoots, or water candles. Just then, Song Xiaoqiu arrived and asked, Uncle, what is a water candle? It's a really strange name. Lu Mingui quickly looked at her daughter and saw that her face was normal, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. She sighed inwardly. The Zhang family boy didn't come along, which should make things clear. However, Lu Mingui was still somewhat disappointed. She naturally hoped her daughter could find a good family, so she had high hopes for Zhang Yuanzhou. Then I felt relieved, thankful that we hadn't known each other for very long. Even if my daughter has feelings for Zhang, they're not that deep. She'll be sad for a couple of days at most and then it'll be over. Come to think of it, my daughter has never met anyone good before, and she married that damned Wu Shunzi, suffering all kinds of torment. That's why she easily thinks Zhang Yuanzhou is good. She held Song Xiaoqiu's hand with a touch of tenderness. Let's go, don't think so much. Yes, mother, I'm fine. The Lu family father and son did not notice anything unusual. Lu Wenli led the way, saying, you'll see when you get there. When they arrived at the place, they saw many straight plants growing by the water, resembling bamboo shoots, with white roots and green tops. Lu Mingui said, it looks like cattail. Lu Wenli shook his head. A local just said that they are still tender now, but they are edible and can be eaten until early summer. Whether you stir-fry it with meat or make soup with it, it tastes delicious. As he spoke, he broke off a stalk, peeled off the outer green shell, and saw the pure white inside, as smooth as scallion whites, with a faint fragrance. Once peeled, it looks like a bamboo shoot, pointed at one end and thick at the other. He took the first bite himself. It's sweet and delicious. The others followed his example, peeled one and tasted it, and were pleasantly surprised. Lu Mingui spoke first. Then what are we waiting for? Let's dig. It's called digging, but it would break easily with a little force. However, water chestnuts grow in shallow water or water, and in winter the water is cold, so even if you are careful, you will inevitably get your shoes and clothes wet. Xiao Chu, just wait on the shore, don't go into the water. This water is too cold. He added, I'll go to the street later and make a few more pairs of oiled boots. In the rainy Zhongnan region, oiled boots are very useful. As Song Xiaoqiu bent down to tidy up the water chestnuts on the shore, Zhang Yuanzhou's image kept popping into her mind. While she was in a daze, she heard her mother say, hey, isn't that wild water celery? Lu Mingui used to cut a lot of wild water celery in his hometown, but compared to the vast amount of wild water celery in front of him, it was simply not enough. After all, it's a water town in Zhongnan, where wild water celery grows exceptionally well. After working for most of the day, I also dug up some wild vegetables that I wasn't sure if they were edible. I'll go back and ask Granny Huang. Meanwhile, Zhang Yuanzhou found the Song family, only to learn that Song Xiaoqiu had not returned and must have gone to Yinshan. So he went to Yinshan again, only to find it empty once more. Helpless, he had no choice but to return to the Song family to wait, but before Song Xiaoqiu returned, someone summoned him to see the inspector. So he told Song Xiaodong, I need to talk to your sister. If she comes back, just say I came by. Song Xiaodong was completely confused. Why are you looking for my sister? Didn't you come here to see me? Zhang Yuanzhou left in a hurry without having time to explain. Madame Zhang also began to inquire about the Song family, but since the Song family had only been in the north for a short time, she did not find out anything. She told Magistrate Zhang what she had learned. The family is quite simple, just an old woman, a daughter-in-law, and a half-grown son. There is also a little girl at home, and 2 other babies, who are twins. Aside from digging for wild vegetables, the family doesn't go out much, they're honest and law-abiding. They fled from Baoding Prefecture and bought a house on Yinshan Street. They plan to open a rouge shop in the street-facing room. In addition, there is a relative at the foot of Yinshan Mountain who also came all the way from Baoding Prefecture. They all seem to come from upright families, and there are no people who would resort to crooked means. He was kind-hearted and even took in the old woman Huang who used to run a shop on the street. Magistrate Zhang then asked, her family also runs a rouge shop, so how did she happen to save Granny Huang? Is there more to this story? No, that's not true, Madame Zhang said. It's quite a coincidence. Besides, Granny Huang was forced into this position by Master Wang. How could the Song family possibly have the ability to manipulate the Wang family just by being new here? If you want to find out the details, you'll have to go to Baoding Prefecture. But the drought over there is getting worse, making this trip difficult. Besides, if this drags on any longer, can you out-argue Zhou'er? In my opinion, we should find a matchmaker as soon as possible to avoid any trouble. Magistrate Zhang fell into deep thought. On the other side, Lu Mingui took the wild vegetables back to show Granny Huang. We dug up a lot of wild vegetables today, such as shepherd's purse, water celery, and shepherd's purse, which are all available in the north. There are also a few wild vegetables that I don't recognize. Huang Pozi, a native of the area, pointed to the white ones and said, this is called arrowhead, it grows in the water. It's easy to cook. The best dish is braised pork with arrowhead, or you can braise chicken with it. We poor families can't afford meat, so we can only boil it in plain water and eat it with some soy sauce. It's very filling. Pointing to the round, dark purple thing, he said, this is called a ground chestnut. You can peel it and eat it raw, it's crisp and sweet. You can also stir-fry it with sliced meat. The best way to eat it is to chop it up and make lion's head meatballs, it's incredibly delicious. We don't usually make lion's head meatballs at home. They're too big, hard to cook, and they waste firewood. During the Chinese New Year, we make meatballs the size of duck eggs. They cook quickly and taste just as good. As Granny Huang spoke, she swallowed hard, and everyone else's mouths watered as well. Song Xiaodong said, Mom, shall we make lion's head meatballs too? It's perfect that Auntie can teach us how to do it. Lu Mingui nodded. Let's eat. It's a good opportunity to taste what arrowhead and water chestnut taste like. She has never been stingy when it comes to food. In life, what is more important than being well-fed and watered? So the whole family got busy. Granny Huang was busy peeling and dicing the chestnuts. Song Xiaodong went to chop firewood. Lu Mingui was only responsible for taking out the pork, the rest was left to Song Xiaoqiu. Add chopped water chestnuts, an egg, scallions, ginger, salt, soy sauce, etc. to the ground pork and stir until it becomes sticky. Then you can shape the meat filling into meatballs the size of duck eggs. Boil water in a pot, then add meatballs and cook until they float to the surface. Add greens, season simply with salt, and sprinkle with chopped green onions before serving. A bowl of chestnut and meatball soup is ready. The soup looks clear as water, but one sip reveals its exquisite flavor. The meatballs aren't very chewy, so they're suitable for both the elderly and children. When you bite into it, you can see the crumbs of the water chestnut, small white pieces that make a crisp sound when you bite into them. They have a unique sweet aroma of water chestnuts that is not greasy at all, but rather refreshing. The combination of pork and ground nuts surprisingly brings out a new flavor. Chapter 262 The 8 Water Immortals. Besides meatballs, there's also water chestnut stew with meat. The arrowhead has a soft and powdery texture, and the pork belly is stewed until tender. All the oil that comes out is absorbed by the arrowhead, resulting in a soft, savory, and fragrant dish. Shen Juya thought it tasted delicious. It's soft and chewy, just like eating chestnuts. But Song Xiaodong thought it was just so-so, it tastes a bit bitter. The chestnut meatballs are still the best. Lu Mingui felt a strong urge to eat sweet chestnuts after hearing this, but she wondered if there were any chestnut trees on the mountain. There are plenty of chestnuts on Desong Mountain, but unfortunately, they weren't ripe before she fled the famine. Grandma Huang ate with great satisfaction. It's been so long since I've had meat. This is really delicious. The child asked in a sweet, childish voice, Grandma Huang, why aren't you buying meat to eat? We fled here from famine, and everyone on the way said that Suzhou Prefecture was very wealthy. Old Mrs. Huang had no children of her own, so she adored Man. Hearing Man's childish words, she didn't find them offensive. She hugged the baby, who looked like a little dumpling, and laughed, silly girl, there are poor people everywhere in this world. Suzhou Prefecture is wealthy, but there are still many people like me who have no money to spend and no meat to eat. There are those who are rolling in money, and there are those who don't have enough to eat. Then he teased Man, saying, our little girl will always have meat to eat from now on. Man nodded. Grandma Huang, we all need to have meat to eat, lots and lots of meat every day. Shen Juya walked over and pinched her nose, you little glutton. Everyone in the family laughed. Everyone was very satisfied with the meal. Lu Mingui took the remaining wild vegetables to Mi Farm, and there were 2 baskets of miscellaneous items. She asked Xu Yang, do we want to eat these wild vegetables here? Xu Yang exclaimed happily, water bamboo, water celery, water chestnut, arrowhead, 4 of the 8 aquatic delicacies have been gathered at once. Water chestnuts in spring, lotus roots in summer, arrowhead in late autumn, celery in winter, and freshwater bamboo shoots from March to October. Aquatic vegetables are available all year round. I'm talking about these 8 aquatic delicacies. They're all fresh and delicious. But the water bamboo is so small, it hasn't grown up yet. Lu Mingui nodded. Yes, she's too inexperienced now, but there's more to come. Although they are small, I can guarantee that they are all wild, so don't worry. Don't worry, Xu Yang said with a smile, Auntie, I have that much knowledge. So many wild water chestnuts and water bamboo shoots are hard to find these days. Thank you for your hard work, Auntie. Lu Mingui quickly shook her head. What's the big deal? It's not hard work at all. Xu Yang added, I figured we had enough wild vegetables, so the farm started adding 2 tables of guests every day. By the way, aren't you from the countryside? Could you perhaps find a way to buy me some more free-range chickens? Whether it's an old hen or a young rooster, it's fine. Those 2 old hens at your house last time were so popular. My goodness, the chicken soup is golden yellow and so delicious it's enough to make your eyebrows fall off. The customers who ate there that time still remember it fondly and keep coming back to eat there. He smacked his lips. I went to the village to buy old hens, and bought them several times, but none of them tasted as good as this one. Lu Mingui nodded. Okay, I'll ask when I get back. She doesn't know if she'll be able to get the old hen. Many families on the street raise a few chickens in their backyards, but they do so mainly for laying eggs, they might not be willing to sell them. Seeing that she agreed, Xu Yang added, if you have free-range chicken eggs or duck eggs, that's fine too. Lu Mingui agreed to all of them. Then he left and went to the vegetable market through the White House. She planned to buy some vegetables, as she was reluctant to eat wild vegetables these days, and there were no edible vegetables at home for the time being, so she had to come and buy some to eat. I didn't dare buy anything I'd never seen before, so I could only buy seasonal vegetables. They were all the cheapest green vegetables, like cabbage. Thinking that it had been a long time since I had seen Sister Yang, I headed towards Li's grain and oil shop. This time, I saw Sister Yang's daughter again. Sister Yang was very welcoming. Auntie's here. Happy New Year. Do you remember my daughter? She came to the store to play during her Chinese New Year holiday. Yuan, quickly call for help. Remember, I even did your hair up before. Zhang Yao is now in college, and she's grown up a bit. She wears light makeup and looks very pretty. She was still wearing hanfu, with a few small red velvet flowers and a hairpin in her hair, adding a touch of New Year's joy. She said to Lu Mingui, how could I forget? Happy New Year, Grandma Lu. She then sweetly said to her mother, Mom, I told you not to call me by my nickname. Lu Mingui was almost stunned. This was the most beautiful girl she had ever seen in her later life. She was good-looking before, and now she's even more handsome. After Zhang Yao wished her a Happy New Year, she realized what was happening and laughed. What a coincidence, my granddaughter's nickname is also Yuan. He also praised Zhang Yao, saying, a girl changes a lot as she grows up, and she becomes more and more beautiful. Sister Yang was proud. This child doesn't look like us. Her father and I are both very ordinary looking. Now that she's in college, talent scouts are still looking for her. She didn't want to. She was determined to study astronautics and all that stuff about spacecraft. Although it was a complaint, everyone could see that she was proud of her daughter. Although Lu Mingui didn't quite understand, she still offered a few words of praise. Only then did they begin to inquire about the hairpin in Zhang Yao's hair. "This is so beautiful, where did you buy it?" Zhang Yao generously took off the hairpin from her head to show her. It was truly beautiful and exquisite. The hairpin handle is silver and wavy, while the hairpin head is shaped like peach blossoms and leaves in a pinkish-purple color, resembling the inlay technique. The peach blossom petals are as thin as cicada wings, and the stamens are adorned with white pearls, making it elegant and lively. Lu Mingui turned it over and over, unable to put it down. I also specifically looked at the pearls. Although they weren't high-quality pearls, they were definitely not made of plastic. She thought that since she was going to open a rouge shop anyway, she might as well buy some of these and sell them. She was sure she could get a good price for them. "I just don't know if it's expensive or not." Thinking this, I asked the question. Zhang Yao shook her head. "It's not expensive, this one is a little over 30 yuan. She was still a student from an ordinary family, so naturally she wouldn't buy expensive jewelry. This price is actually cheaper than what Lu Mingui had in mind. So she asked again, "Where do you buy it?" "Online." Zhang Yao quickly replied, "Yes, Grandma Lu, do you want to buy it? I'll share the shop with you." Lu Mingui had no idea about these things, so she quickly took out her phone. "Could you please help me with this?" "Oh, right, are those cheap copper hairpins with glass beads inlaid on them available online? If you have any, please help me look for them too." Chapter 263 I Will Spoil My Own Ancestors. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yao first added the shop where she bought the hairpin to her favorites. However, this store wasn't very cheap, so he tried a few more stores before finally finding one. She also taught Lu Mingui, "Look, this is the store's rating. The higher the rating, the better the products are. This item also comes with a coupon and a cross-store discount. Be sure to use all the discounts to get the best deal." Lu Mingui hadn't expected there to be so many twists and turns. She was completely overwhelmed. Why are there so many things to do? I can't understand or remember them. She had already learned how to choose things and how to pay, but she never imagined there was so much more to learn. Sister Yang next to her couldn't stop laughing when she saw her face scrunched up like a bitter gourd. "I can't figure it out either. What's with all the suspend over a certain amount, discount, and hidden coupons? Why make it so complicated? It's all a scam, can't you just give me a discount?" Zhang Yao said, "This is why deep affection can never be retained, only tricks can win people's hearts." Sister Yang rolled her eyes at her daughter before saying, "Auntie, just tell Yuan what you want to buy. She's the best at these things. I'm not bragging, but my daughter is really amazing." This time, Zhang Yao ignored her mother calling her by her nickname again, and held Lu Mingui's phone, carefully selecting items for her. "Grandma Lu, besides the hairpin I'm wearing, this shop has several other styles, and I've added them all to your shopping cart. The cheap copper hairpin you want is in another shop, it'll cost about 5 yuan. There are also wooden hairpins," she said, handing her phone to Lu Mingui. "They look quite rustic, and they're only 2 yuan each. Do you want to buy some? What do you think? It looks even better than the one you're wearing." Lu Mingui thought to herself, "This is incomparable." However, he still squinted at the phone screen, and upon seeing it, he quickly nodded. "That's good, add it to that car for me too." Sister Yang reminded from the side, "That's called a shopping cart." Lu Mingui thought the name was random. How could a vehicle be one without wheels? But she still nodded. "Yes, yes." Zhang Yao smiled and said, "Then I'll add them all in, and you can choose slowly later." "Okay, thank you. I'll go back and compare prices before buying." As soon as I got my phone back, it rang. The screen displayed Lu Yunxi's name. As soon as the call connected, Lu Yunxi's voice came from the other end. "Grandma, where are you? The first batch of skincare products has been completed and delivered. They're all at Guanlin residence. Please come and take a look when you have time." So Lu Mingui didn't linger at the market and quickly went to the house. Several boxes of skincare products were neatly arranged in the living room. Lu Yunxi opened 2 boxes to show her. "I made 2 types, 800 of which are milk face cream and the other 200 are ginseng face cream. Milk is nourishing, and ginseng is anti-aging. Try them one by one and feel them out." As she spoke, she pulled Lu Mingui's hand over, dabbed some on the back of Lu Mingui's hand, and then pushed it away with her fingertips. The face cream has a slightly cool feel and slowly melts into the skin. Lu Mingui's skin on the back of her hand became moisturized and looked more lustrous. This one is milk-based, so it's hydrating and moisturizing, making it perfect for dry skin or during the fall and winter months. After Lu Yunxi finished speaking, she took Lu Minggui's other hand and applied the ginseng face cream to it. Compared to milk face cream, ginseng face cream is thicker and has a slight medicinal smell, but it's not unpleasant. This one, with the addition of ginseng, requires more massage for absorption. It focuses on repair and nourishment, making it more suitable for older people. As she moved, Lu Mingui felt the face cream being spread and absorbed, and the skin on the back of her hand became more moisturized and firmer. Hey, you know what, it really is different. Ginseng was used in this. That's really expensive. Ginseng is a life-saving treasure. Although she knew that ginseng was artificially cultivated here and not expensive, she still felt it was a pity that something that could save lives was only being applied to her face. Lu Yunxi saw through her thoughts and advised, you don't need to feel sorry. The ginseng used here does not meet the standards for saving lives and treating diseases. It is relatively young, which means that the saponin content is still acceptable, and it can help protect the skin and fight oxidation. Antioxidant means anti-aging. Oh, and there are a few more skincare products, please take them back with you too. This time, they brought out a complete set of skincare products. Facial cleanser, toner, serum, eye cream, and face cream are packaged in an exquisite brocade box. She explained one by one, this set is for moisturizing and whitening. Use them in the following order. First cleanse your skin with facial cleanser, then apply toner, then serum, and apply eye cream around the eyes, being gentle. One spoke carefully, and the other listened attentively. I've memorized it all. This box is really beautiful. Lu Yunxi added, these were specially developed by Runfang. The box is also made of wood, and there are no problems with the packaging. You will definitely not be exposed if you take it back. Of course, these sets are not for you to sell directly. These sets are not for sale. Use them to build connections so that you can have someone to rely on in Suzhou Prefecture. The officials are easy to deal with, but the ladies and young women in the inner quarters are the real problem. These sets of products are all high-quality skincare products that cater to their preferences. As long as they like them, you'll have established a firm foothold in Suzhou Prefecture. Lu Mingui nodded repeatedly. It's all thanks to you for thinking of us. That makes sense, you'll inevitably have to cultivate relationships. Lu Yunxi laughed and said, you can still achieve great things without me. But I was thinking, now that we've recognized each other, why should I let you suffer more? My own ancestors, I pamper them myself. Lu Mingui was amused by her. Okay, then I happen to have something I need your help with today. Lu Yunxi quickly sat up straight and said, please speak. Don't be so nervous, just help me taste the dish. As she spoke, she took the freshly bought vegetables to the kitchen, washed, chopped, and stir-fried them. 2 plates of stir-fried vegetables were then served. Try them, which plate tastes better? Lu Yunxi thought they were going to do something important, but it turned out they were just trying a dish. Both plates of vegetables were bright green, but they tasted different. The one on the left is tastier, while the one on the right is just average. What secret seasoning did you add here? Lu Mingui shook her head. Both dishes have the same ingredients, just oil and salt. The only difference is that one of the dishes of vegetables was bought at the market today and brought over directly. The vegetables in the other dish were placed in the White House some time ago. I was suspicious before, how come you all think it tastes so good when it's just ordinary wild vegetables? Now that I see it, it really is because of the White House. Wild vegetables taste much better when added, and so does meat. And it's still fresh. Chapter 264 Seeking a Backer. Lu Yunxi was also somewhat surprised. This space is actually so magical. Space. Lu Mingui said, the White House is space. That makes sense, it was indeed an empty room to begin with. It's just that I've put quite a few things in there now. And if you put more things in it, the space inside will also increase, as if it can never be filled. Lu Yunxi laughed and said, no, space refers to 3-dimensional space, which means length, width and height. If you like to call it the White House, then call it the White House. It's just a name. He added, I've read time travel novels before, where some people have spiritual springs in their personal spaces that can cure all diseases. Some people own vast tracts of fertile land where they can grow fruit trees. And everything we plant matures exceptionally quickly. In short, they are all kinds of things and have a lot of functions. Lu Mingui exclaimed in surprise, so amazing. If only there really were such a spiritual spring, we wouldn't have to leave our homes. If there is still fertile land, why would we need to buy more? She spent almost all her savings on buying land, mountains, and houses. Lu Yunxi comforted him, those are just novels, like the picture books you like to read. How can you take them seriously? Your device has a preservation function and is also a time portal, that's already amazing. Lu Mingui felt that what she said made a lot of sense, but she also felt a little regretful. If I had known earlier that vegetables stored in a white house would taste better, I might have opened a restaurant. My daughter is already a good cook, and with the vegetables from the White House, it's even better. Lu Yunxi advised, take it slow. Let's sell the skincare products first. Lu Mingui was not an unrealistic person. If there was an opportunity in the future and Xiao Chu liked it, then opening a restaurant would be fine. Right now, I'm focusing all my energy on the rouge shop. There are many things to do when you open a shop. The whole family got busy. The task of obtaining the official document from the household registration office was left to Song Xiaodong. Granny Huang took Song Xiaoqiu to purchase the necessary ingredients and hurry up and make cosmetics. When they were short-handed, they asked Zhao Xinghua and Meng Shi for help. Meng was Lu Yongyan's wife, and her maiden name was Meng He. He was a good person, and skillful with his hands. Because he had been with Lu Yongyan for many years, he had seen a lot and was extremely considerate in his dealings with people. Lu Mingui then discussed with her the idea of having her help out at the shop, and she would still be paid. The shop was almost ready, and an auspicious day was chosen for its opening. The name was decided upon by the family, and Lu Yunxi's opinion was also sought. In the end, it was named Ronghua Pavilion. As the opening date approached, Lu Mingui was trying to get in touch with the county magistrate's wife. Since the shop is located in Chongzhou County and deals in high-end cosmetics, who could possibly be more powerful than the county magistrate's wife? If the county magistrate's wife could use her family's cosmetics, she would be a living advertisement. She waited for several days, bringing gifts and food, and finally won over Kui Lu, the maid of the county magistrate's wife. Having received the benefits, Kui Lu naturally began to speak highly of Madame Zhang. A few days later, Lu Mingui was led to the inner residence of the county government office. This was the first time she had ever met the county magistrate's wife. Fortunately, she was worldly wise and not afraid. Madame Zhang looked to be in her early 30s, well-maintained, with a peaceful expression, she shouldn't be difficult to get along with. Madame Zhang also recognized Lu Mingui. After all, they were people they had specifically inquired about, and they had seen them from afar. Looking closely now, her clothes are half new and clean, her hair is tied up with a half-worn wooden hairpin, and she has fine lines on her face, she looks like an ordinary woman. The only difference was her eyes. Unlike the cloudy eyes of an average old woman, they possessed a clear understanding of the world. Madame Zhang couldn't help but take it seriously. Thinking of her nephew's marriage, she wanted to test the waters again, so she pretended not to have seen him before and asked, I heard that manager Lu is going to open a rouge shop. It's just that I'm used to using Hua Hanchong's and Dai Chunline's things. These newly opened shops outside probably don't suit my taste. Lu Mingui laughed and said, Madam, how could my little shop possibly compare to theirs? I've come today simply to ask you to take a look at my products. He then handed the brocade box to Madame Zhang. Madam, please take a look. This is our Ronghua Pavilion's Ganoderma Lucidum lotion and cream set. A suit. Madame Zhang took it curiously. The brocade box was embroidered with magnolia flowers, and inside were 5 porcelain bottles of different sizes. What's this? Lu Mingui then repeated Lu Yunxi's explanation, naturally changing the name from facial cleanser to Lingzi Jade Dew Cream. He then emphasized the role of each item. This small porcelain bottle contains eye cream, which can reduce wrinkles around the eyes. Especially this Lingzi Jade Dew Cream, it can instantly brighten the complexion when applied to the face without making the makeup look heavy. Others would only think that the lady has a naturally good complexion. In fact, external moisturizing and anti-aging are just superficial. The best thing about this Gyokuro cream is that with long-term use, it can condition the skin from the inside out. At that time, there will be no need to use rouge, as the skin will have a naturally radiant glow. Madame Zhang was already quite fond of the exquisite brocade box and the beautiful porcelain vase. Hearing Lu Mingui say that it could brighten the complexion, she was even more tempted. She opened the box, took out some jade hairpins, rubbed them on the back of her hand, and sure enough, the skin on the back of her hand was visibly moisturized, translucent, and fair. The scent is fresh and elegant, unlike the overly strong scent of typical cosmetics. If you apply this to your face, you can imagine how amazing the effect will be. It really is a good product. Madame Zhang exclaimed in admiration before getting back to the main topic. Madame Lu, what is the purpose of sending such a valuable gift? She doesn't accept just anything. If the Lu family's demands are too much, even if her nephew is very fond of Song Xiaoqiu, she will not agree. But what does the Lu family want? Just as they were speculating, they heard Lu Mingui say, the old woman has nothing else to ask for. He paused for a moment and then said, if Madame uses it well, then use it often. You look so healthy, other ladies and young women will naturally bring business to Ronghua Pavilion. This old woman is content. Madame Zhang nodded inwardly upon hearing this. This Mr. Lu is not greedy and knows when to advance and retreat. She remembered that someone had tried to use her name to create hype and asked her to come and support them on opening day. They are both stupid and wicked, and they don't even care if others say they are colluding with government officials. There's another type of person who, even after pleading with her, hesitates and hides their grievances, leaving everyone completely baffled. She always avoids those who pretend to be ignorant when they know the truth. Right now, what Madame Lu said was exactly what she wanted to hear. She said what needed to be said and never mentioned what shouldn't be mentioned. Although she was an old farmer's wife, she knew how to conduct herself properly. She put down the porcelain vase and smiled. Actually, I also have something I'd like to trouble you with. Chapter 265 County Magistrate. Lu Mingui was surprised. What could a county magistrate's wife possibly need to trouble her with? Why are you being so polite? Could it be that they still want a share of the shop's profits? If it could help my shop gain a foothold in Changzhou County, that would be fine. She hurriedly replied, please feel free to give your instructions, madam. Madame Zhang smiled, then stood up and walked to Lu Mingui, grabbed her hand, and pressed her down into a chair. Lu Mingui immediately became wary, but on the surface she appeared flattered. Madam, this is absolutely not allowed. Yes, Madame Zhang said with a smile, covering her mouth. I want you to arrange a marriage for my nephew. She added, my nephew lost his father at a young age and lives with my husband and me. Now that he is approaching 20, I think it's time to arrange a marriage for him, so he won't have to wander around. It's just that this child used to refuse even a second glance, but now he suddenly has someone he likes. She thought of what she had discussed with Magistrate Zhang. Magistrate Zhang originally disagreed with the marriage, but Zhang Yuanzhou had been stubborn since childhood, and once he made up his mind, nothing could change it. This time, because Magistrate Zhang refused to agree, he stayed at the patrol office for many days and refused to go home. Madame Zhang thought that it wouldn't be good to hold a grudge against her nephew over this matter. She watched her nephew grow up, so naturally she hoped he would be all right. Besides, a man should marry when he comes of age, and he's almost 20. He's finally met someone he likes. Of course, she also had her own selfish motives in doing this. Fearing that Zhang Yuanzhou's prolonged celibacy would cause trouble everywhere and affect her husband's career. This child has followed in his father's footsteps and has done a lot of chivalrous deeds outside. If he gets married, he should settle down and be more devoted to his family. So Madame Zhang often whispered in Magistrate Yang's ear. She said, if he were to ask to marry a royal princess, or a girl from a family that is too high up for him, that would be a real disaster. What's wrong with marrying a down-to-earth girl from a humble family like this? Moreover, apart from the fact that Song Xiaoqiu was a divorced woman, after observing for a few days, there seemed to be no other flaws in this marriage. Although Magistrate Zhang was unhappy, he still agreed. Lu Mingui found it strange. She and the magistrate's wife had only just met, so how could they be so familiar with each other? That nephew of mine, could he be a dissolute playboy? Furthermore, when it comes to matchmaking, if both parties are compatible, it's a way to bring about a happy union and help others achieve their goals. If you speak poorly, you could mislead someone for life and end up pleasing neither side. She didn't want to get involved in this mess. After thinking for a moment, he politely declined. Madam, it's not that this old woman is unwilling, but my family just came from Baoding Prefecture. These days I'm barely recognized on the street, how could I possibly know anyone? Madame Zhang looked at her with a smile and said directly, who said you don't know me? My nephew wants to marry your daughter, Song Xiaoqiu. A sudden inspiration struck Lu Mingui, could your nephew be Zhang Yuanzhou? She couldn't think of anyone else besides them. Xiaoqiu wasn't a particularly cheerful person to begin with. If she hadn't been saved by Zhang Yuanzhou, how would she have gotten to know him? She didn't even know the other men. As expected, Madame Zhang nodded. That's right. Lu Mingui looked surprised. I didn't expect him to be Madame's nephew. She quickly praised him, saying, we came from Baoding Prefecture and happened to be traveling together. He saved my daughter. He is so outstanding at such a young age, and he is also warm-hearted and righteous. It is truly rare. Madame Zhang was delighted to hear this. So the two of you have such a connection. It's quite a coincidence. He sighed again and said, after Zhou grew up, he wasn't very close to us. Now that he is willing to leave Shuntian Prefecture and come to our side, I naturally hope that he can settle down and start a business as soon as possible. This way, we can at least give his parents an explanation. After listening to her rambling for a while, Lu Mingui pondered for a moment before earnestly saying, I understand your love for your daughter, but there is something you may not know. My daughter has been divorced. Xiao Chu should have mentioned this to your nephew a few days ago, and then the matter was dropped. Although this dynasty allows women to divorce and remarry, it doesn't have a good reputation. Even if the man's family dislikes the woman, she won't have a good life after the marriage. In my opinion, this marriage is completely unnecessary. After all, this is a friendship between two families, we can't let it turn into enmity. At this point, Lu Mingui was even more surprised. Had Zhang Yuanzhou not reported this matter to them? If that was already mentioned, why did Madame Zhang still bring up the matter of marriage? Lu Mingui never wanted to agree to the marriage in the first place, and now she feels it's even more inappropriate. I thought the problem between my daughter and Zhang was just about divorce, but I didn't expect there to be another issue, social status. His uncle was actually the county magistrate. Just then, Magistrate Zhang walked in. He listened outside for a while, thinking that if Granny Lu happily agreed to the marriage, he might be in a bad mood. When Magistrate Zhang heard that Granny Lu had no intention of marrying into his family, he became even angrier. Using divorce as an excuse, isn't it just because he dislikes his nephew? What's wrong with my nephew? He wanted to see why this old woman was so ungrateful. He snorted, Mrs. Lu, your daughter got a divorce, not a formal divorce. What's wrong with her remarrying? Do you know about Wang Anxi, the stubborn prime minister of the Song dynasty? His son suffered from hysteria, so he took the initiative to prepare a dowry and arranged for his daughter-in-law to remarry in a grand manner. Furthermore, Lady Xie, the biological mother of Fan Zhongyan, also remarried. To force young women to stay in empty rooms and endure the days is to go against the natural order. Since you know that the Ming Dynasty Code allowed divorced women to remarry, you should understand that Emperor Hongwu set this rule precisely because he was considerate of human suffering and in accordance with the virtue of heaven and earth in nurturing life. If you keep thinking about those old-fashioned sayings like, a woman should not marry twice, you will ruin your daughter's future. He then earnestly advised, I heard that your daughter is still young. If she marries a reliable man and finds someone to rely on, you can rest assured. Why not do it? My nephew is both scholarly and martial, and he's a reliable person. What's wrong with him? Lu Mingui was stunned by what the county magistrate said, and he was even more puzzled. She naturally agreed with her daughter's remarriage, so why did he make it sound like she was a pedantic old woman? It must be a misunderstanding. She was worried that her daughter would be mistreated if she married her off to the county magistrate's nephew. She forced herself to continue, when people marry, they all believe in matching social status and family background. Isn't there a poem that says, I am content with a bamboo fence and a thatched cottage, why bother asking about the orchid in a mansion with a red gate? Magistrate Zhang laughed in exasperation, you even know Lord Zhang's poem. Since you can read, have you been studying since childhood? Lu Mingui hurriedly shook his head, it's not that I'm literate, it's just that Lord Zhang has a great reputation. He added, my wife's family is poor, they've been farmers for generations. Right now, she has to open a shop to make a living. It is said that scholars, farmers, artisans, and merchants are all social classes. You are scholars, and my family is merchants. If we were to marry, it would be a great honor for your family. I'm afraid it would be unfair to your nephew. Magistrate Zhang was even angrier. Lu, you are truly stubborn. Scholars, farmers, artisans, and merchants are all of good social standing. What's wrong with them marrying each other? I'll have the official matchmaker come to propose marriage tomorrow. It's settled. Chapter 266 Proposing Marriage. Lu Mingui was completely dumbfounded this time. I just wanted to give a gift and make some connections, how did it end up being my daughter's marriage proposal? She walked out of the back gate of the county government office in a daze, and only when she was hit by a cold wind did she come to her senses and quickly set off for home. I need to tell Xiao Chu about this first, so as not to scare my daughter. They had only just arrived at Yinshan Street when they ran into Lu Yongyan. After he learned about Lu Minggui's purchase of the mountain, he began to inquire about it. Auntie, we didn't buy this forest for much, we got a good deal. Do you know why Chen Ada was in such a hurry to sell the mountain? Lu Mingui shook her head. Why? He found a lover in the brothel and is raising money to buy her freedom. The original buyer knew about this and deliberately lowered the price. Chen Ada was furious, which is why we were able to take advantage of the situation. Lu Mingui suddenly realized, is that so? Is there anything wrong with that mountain? Lu Yongyan shook his head. There's nothing wrong with the mountain, but the Japanese pirates killed 2 people on the mountain decades ago, but it wasn't the mountain near my aunt's house. The matter was dropped after Lord Qi chased him away. Relieved, Lu Mingui quickly said, why don't we go home and sit for a while? Lu Yongyan declined, saying, Auntie, let's do it another time. I have things to do at the inn. The two then separated. The Song family. Zhang Yuanzhou brought a bunch of things, including tea, cloth, and pastries, and came to her door, but Song Xiaoqiu refused to see him. Song Xiaodong and Manman stared at each other in the courtyard, not understanding why Zhang Yuanzhou wanted to find Song Xiaoqiu. And they brought so many good things with them. Both of them stared at him curiously as he stood in the courtyard, looking like a wooden stake. Zhang Yuanzhou asked helplessly, Xiaodong, why is your sister ignoring me? I asked you to pass on a message that day, saying you would come when you had time, but I was held up by something and only had time today. Is she blaming me for this? Song Xiaodong's mouth dropped open. I forgot about that. Then he asked, Brother Zhang, what do you want with my sister? You keep coming here every day, does my sister owe you money? Even if Zhang Yuanzhou was thick-skinned, he didn't know how to explain it to him and stammered, unable to get the words out. Song Xiaoqiu finally opened the door. Go back, I have nothing to say to you. Don't come here again. Zhang Yuanzhou resorted to shamelessness. If you don't agree, I'll come every day. I was thinking of hiring a matchmaker, but I was afraid that if I went to your door rashly, I would upset you. Look, I've saved up quite a bit of silver, Zhang Yuanzhou said, bringing all his belongings back with him. Here's over 150 taels. It's not enough to buy a house on Yinshan Street, but it can buy a very nice house on the other side of the river. I've already inquired about it, it's not far from here. I see you like children, so we can have several babies. Song Xiaoqiu turned pale upon hearing this, tears welling up in her eyes. She bit her lip hard and said, I can't have children. Lu Mingui arrived just then and was heartbroken to hear her daughter say that. She suppressed her urge to comfort her daughter and hid behind the door, wanting to hear Zhang Yuanzhou's opinion on the matter. If this person turns around and leaves, then the marriage can be called off. Zhang Yuanzhou replied without hesitation, it's good that there are no children. I think children are too noisy. Besides, if you like children, we can also adopt your sister-in-law's child. Your sister-in-law has 3 children. Shen Juya, who had been listening in the room, couldn't help but stick her head out when she heard that her own child was to be adopted, who said Xiao Chu can't have children. Why would you want to be adopted by my family? Go have your own child. Lu Mingui then came out and said to Xiao Chu, don't talk nonsense. The doctor took your pulse. The problem isn't with you. Have you forgotten? Song Xiaoqiu stood blankly inside the door. Mother, I. He didn't say anything more. After the divorce, her mother found a doctor for her, who took her pulse and said there was nothing wrong with her health. That means the person who couldn't have children was Wu Shunzi, because the young widow's child wasn't Wu Shunzi's at all. But she had absolutely no confidence. What if the baby doesn't come out? When Zhang Yuanzhou saw Lu Mingui, he quickly called out, Auntie, I've come to ask for Xiaoqiu's hand in marriage. Then, she happily asked, does this mean Auntie has agreed to my marriage with Xiaoqiu? Lu Mingui sighed softly, what's there to say or not say? Your uncle is sending someone to propose marriage tomorrow. Zhang Yuanzhou was both happy and angry. He was happy that his wish had finally come true, but angry that his uncle was abusing his power. I'll talk to him. Who asked him to interfere? It's my own business. I can make my own decisions. Auntie, all I want is for Xiao Chu to be devoted to me. What my uncle says doesn't matter. He added, if Xiao Chu doesn't agree, I'll beg her to agree. There is absolutely no reason to force her. In fact, Lu Mingui had already made up her mind after thinking it over all the way back. The girl has feelings for Zhang Yuanzhou, and he seems pretty good to her right now. Since that's the case, let's combine the two into one. He immediately advised him, I have agreed to this marriage. Your uncle is doing this for your own good. Don't do anything impulsive or reckless. You have 15 minutes to talk. If either of you changes your mind, then the marriage should be called off. He then shooed everyone else away, saying, go on with your work, don't block the way here. Everyone then left to go about their business. Lu Mingui also went to the shop and checked the goods with Granny Huang. Song Xiaodong was very excited and leaned over to ask, Mom, is Brother Zhang going to be my brother-in-law? Lu Mingui couldn't help but tap his head, you sure know how to say that. Song Xiaodong, unfazed by the pain, chuckled and said, isn't it better if it sounds good? Mother, aren't you happy yet? Lu Mingui sighed softly, I'm just afraid that the person is from a wealthy and powerful family and is not a good match for me. Besides, he's a year younger than your sister. Everyone says that older people know how to care for others, but what about younger people? Song Xiaodong didn't understand. Had his mother misunderstood something? Mother, Wu Shunzi is older than my sister, but is he a proper woman? If you ask me, my sister should find someone younger and from a wealthy family, so she wouldn't have to do anything. She used to live a life of luxury. Old Lady Huang also advised, I think Xiaodong is right about this. Zhang is handsome, young, from a good family, and a good person. He and Xiao Chu seem like a perfect match. Once you miss this opportunity, you might never find another one. If you ask me, we have to seize the opportunity. Chapter 267 The Matchmaker. Lu Mingui chuckled at their words. In that case, it seems I'm the one who's being tactless. No, that's not it, said Granny Huang. As a mother, it's natural for you to be more considerate. It's all out of a loving mother's heart. After some persuasion, Lu Mingui was finally able to let go of her worries. She looked towards the inner room. I wonder how their conversation went. Inner hall. The two were 3 feet apart. Song Xiaoqiu had never been alone with him before, her face flushed red, and she lowered her head without saying a word. Seeing that she didn't speak, Zhang Yuanzhou said, I don't care that you've been divorced. I'm just glad that you haven't found a partner yet, so I still have a chance. My family isn't very wealthy, and I don't have any extraordinary abilities, but I promise that I will always keep you in my heart. I will definitely ensure you have enough to eat and wear and never suffer any injustice in your life. Xiao Chu, can you give me this chance? Let me marry you. I am not here today to force you to agree, I am willing to wait. I will wait until you agree. If you never agree, I am willing to wait for you my whole life. Throughout, his gaze was passionate and sincere. Song Xiaoqiu felt her heart burning. She had been tossing and turning and unable to sleep for the past few days. I thought it was just a chance encounter, and even if I felt a little attracted, I would forget about it soon. But I can't forget him no matter what. Even in my dreams, I see those eyes. After a long silence, Song Xiaoqiu nodded gently. I promise you, but don't regret it in the future, and don't make me regret it either. My mother will protect me. If you do anything wrong, I will divorce you immediately. Zhang Yuanzhou was taken aback at first, and then he realized what was happening. You agreed. You really agreed. His voice trembled slightly, and his eyes shone with an alarming intensity. Song Xiaoqiu gave a soft, her fair cheeks already flushed. Zhang Yuanzhou grinned, revealing 2 rows of neat white teeth, his eyebrows and eyes brimming with joy. That's wonderful, Xiao Chu, I will always be good to you. I will be good to you for the rest of my life. He was so excited that he was incoherent, and he stepped forward to take Song Xiaoqiu's hand. Before their hands could even touch, Lu Mingui coughed twice outside the door, startling the 2 of them who hurriedly moved away, their faces flushed. Lu Mingui then said, since we've already talked it out, the marriage is settled. Although our family is just an ordinary family, we still need to observe these proper etiquettes. Let's try to avoid seeing each other in the future. Both of them lowered their heads and agreed. Lu Mingui added, you 2 are not young anymore. When the matchmaker comes tomorrow, she will ask your names and arrange the marriage. Her family has had wives and daughters marry off, so she's already familiar with this whole process. Asking the name involves exchanging birth dates and times to divine good or bad fortune, followed by the engagement ceremony. All of this was handled by the matchmaker on both sides, so the elders of both the man and woman did not need to meet. After that came the betrothal ceremony and the grand gift-giving ceremony. When setting the wedding date, both sets of elders would gather together to discuss it. Once the wedding date was set, the bride's family would begin preparing the dowry. Therefore, although there are many things to do, everything is done in an orderly manner, so the busyness is not chaotic. The next morning, Lu Mama, the official matchmaker, arrived at the door, dressed in her official uniform and accompanied by a maid. Unlike typical matchmakers who deliberately flatter, she was more efficient and down to earth. Lu Minggui's family did not dare to neglect them and personally came out to greet them, leading them to the main room. Only Song Xiaoqiu was too shy to see anyone. Shen Juya stepped forward to greet them, brewing tea and bringing out some snacks. I specifically went to buy the tea and snacks yesterday. The two sides already had a tacit understanding, so this was a natural progression. After drinking the tea, Lu's mother didn't beat around the bush and took out Zhang Yuanzhou's household registration book and birth chart. Zhang Delong is an only son. He is currently an archer in the Wuda patrol office. He is calm and reliable. He also mentioned the betrothal gifts. They are all in accordance with the standards of ordinary official households and collateral branches. 2 bolts of silk, a pair of gold hairpins, a pair of bracelets, and 20 taels of betrothal money. They are all practical items, without any fancy or frivolous things. Lu Mingui nodded. The betrothal gifts were quite substantial. She would also prepare a dowry for her daughter, ensuring the young couple would have a comfortable life. She then went to get Song Xiaoqiu's birth chart. This is my daughter's birth date and time. Lu's mother then carefully placed it away. It's settled. I'll bring the marriage certificate again in 3 days. As soon as Mrs. Lu left, several neighbors gathered around out of curiosity, even stopping their business. Shopkeeper Su asked, was that a government matchmaker just now? Who was the marriage proposal given to? Lu Mingui smiled and said, she's my daughter. Upon hearing this, Manager Su quickly raised her voice. Congratulations, Aunt Lu, this is a very joyous occasion. I wonder which family's young master is here, that an official matchmaker has come to propose marriage. Although Lu Mingui smiled, she still waved her hand and said, it's still too early to talk about these things. The wife of the scholar next door chimed in, the official matchmaker has already come to the door, how could they possibly run away? I always said that your Xiaoqiu is good looking and has a good personality, so she would definitely find a good family. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Manager Su said, Auntie, all the fabrics needed for the wedding can be ordered from my shop. I'll pick the best for you. Lu Mingui could only smile and say, thank you, thank you. If things work out, I'll definitely invite everyone to my wedding banquet. After everyone said a few more nice things, they finally dispersed. Some people were gossiping behind his back. Weren't they supposed to be refugees from the north? How come official media are showing up at their door so suddenly? The whole family is clean and fair-skinned, they don't seem like refugees from famine. Who knows, he's easy to get along with, but he's not exactly soft-hearted. It might not be simple. We should keep in touch more often in the future. That's right, Lu Mingui was unaware of what her neighbors were saying behind her back, and even now that she knows, she doesn't care. She is very busy. The hairpins I ordered online have all arrived. Cheap wooden hairpins and copper hairpins are all packaged in plastic bags, so I don't dare bring those back. She had to take everything out and put it back into the cloth bag. These cloth bags were also made by family members, including Shen Juya, her sister-in-law Wang, and Xinghua. It's not a lot, but it's enough for now. The more expensive hairpins came in wooden boxes lined with black velvet, which looked very high-end and made the hairpins look even better. This can be used as soon as you take it home. I also bought some small velvet flowers, which were very cheap and rare, so I'll give them away as freebies later. As for Xu Yang's request for her help in collecting the hens, that matter has also been settled. This matter was left to my older brother and his family, as they lived close to the village and there were many more families raising chickens there. Lu Mingui made a special trip to inquire about the price. Young chickens cost about 13 coins per catty, and young roosters are the same price. Old hens are naturally more expensive because they lay eggs, at 15 coins per catty. Eggs cost 3 coins each, which is about the same price as in Baoding Prefecture. To Lu Mingui's surprise, duck eggs were relatively cheap, larger than chicken eggs, but priced about the same. Because of the abundance of water in the Zhongnan region, many families raise ducks, so the price is cheap. If you buy a lot, it's only 3 coins per pound. Goose eggs are a bit more expensive, costing 7 coins each. Lu Mingui calculated that she still had some silver left. They collected 10 hens, 10 roosters, 50 chicken eggs, 50 duck eggs, and 20 goose eggs. Thinking that putting the vegetables and meat in the White House would make them taste better, I put them there first and didn't send them to Shuyang yet. Chapter 268 Dowry. Lu Mingui named her rouge shop, Ronghua Pavilion, and set the opening date for the 28th day of the 11th lunar month. But a rouge shop appeared on the other side of the street first. It was the very shop that Granny Huang had originally run. Old Mrs. Huang went to inquire and came back furious. I said that manager Wang has been raising the rent like crazy these past 2 years, and now he's constantly forcing me to pay the rent. I had my eye on the fact that I was the only rouge shop on Yinshan Street. Lu Mingui hurriedly asked, what happened? Then Granny Huang said, didn't I run a small cosmetics shop back then? Next door is a small food stall, and it turns out the owner is Wang Er's niece-in-law. She used to complain that making food was tiring and that she would get covered in smoke and soot all day long, so she wanted to learn how to make rouge from me. I couldn't tell she wasn't really interested in learning, so I refused to teach her. So this family kicked me out because they wanted to open their own cosmetics shop. Her chest heaved with anger. Her entire life's work had been ruined like this. Thinking of this, tears welled up in her eyes again, and she said to Lu Mingui, sister, it's a good thing I met you that day. Otherwise, I'd be dead. If it weren't for Lu Mingui taking him in, and if that Zhang kid hadn't stepped in to protect him, he would have been killed on the spot. Lu Mingui comforted her, let them drive if they want to. I think there's nothing to be afraid of if a cosmetics shop opens up on this street. But there's one less restaurant. Once we're done with this busy period, how about we find a place to open a restaurant next year? Old Mrs. Huang went from crying to laughing. You think running a restaurant is easy? Our place is at the end of the street, nowhere near as good as the main street or market area. Even if the people at the dock come to eat, they won't go in here. Lu Mingui laughed and said, what's there to be afraid of? Good wine needs no bush. Just watch closely, they're going to open a cosmetics shop and lose their restaurant, they'll end up losing everything. With the White House there, and the vegetable market nearby, offering so many cheap vegetables and meats, she had confidence in the restaurant. Old Mrs. Huang thought she was just teasing her, but she was still in a great mood. You're right, I don't believe there's anyone on this street who's better at making rouge than me. By then, our rouge shop will definitely be one of the best in the entire Changzhou County. Lu Mingui liked this about Huang Pozi the most. She never admitted defeat. The 26th day of the 11th lunar month is an auspicious day. After the Zhang family had matched the horoscopes, they came to the door with their entourage. The entire Song family wore new clothes today, and everyone looked energetic. The Lu family, knowing about this, naturally arrived early in the morning. The house was warm and cozy because of the underfloor heating. Song Xiaoqiu was pressed down into a chair by Granny Huang, who then tormented her for a while, which further enhanced her already beautiful appearance. The family members exclaimed in surprise, what kind of method is this? It's so beautiful. Old Lady Huang, itching to show off, said, come on, everyone, let me show you. Even Man's face was covered in rouge. Lu Mingui couldn't hide her smile. Hearing the commotion from the street, she quickly opened the door to greet them. But when they saw who it was, they were startled. It turned out that Magistrate Zhang himself came to propose marriage, accompanied by Registrar Zhou, whom he had met before in the household department. Behind them followed a neat pair of people, carrying loads and driving a cart covered with red cloth, which looked festive. Lu Mingui panicked and was about to kneel down with her family when they were stopped by Magistrate Zhang. My dear mother-in-law, I am here today as Zhouer's elder to deliver the betrothal gifts. This is a family matter and has nothing to do with official business. Please, no need for formalities. Now that we're family, such formalities would only make us seem distant. Lu Mingui stood up and said with a smile, please come in, please come in. This scene, witnessed by onlookers, naturally gave them more reason to consider the Song family. The courtyard had already been cleaned spotlessly. The betrothal gifts were all placed in front of the main hall, and there was quite a lot of them. Magistrate Zhang ordered his men to unveil the red cloth, revealing that the betrothal gifts were more than initially promised. There were 6 bolts of cloth bound with red paper, 2 of which were fine Hangzhou silk and the other 4 were fine cotton cloth. Inside the pearwood box were 2 gold hairpins, 2 gold bracelets, and a pair of gemstone-encrusted earrings. 80 tael silver ingots were neatly stacked on a tray lined with red silk. In addition, there are glutinous rice, tea leaves, 4-color pastries, and wedding cakes. There is also a pair of wooden carved geese. This is because wild geese are hard to find in winter, so wooden goose carvings or live geese are used as substitutes. Many neighbors crowded into the courtyard to watch, and were quite shocked when they saw the betrothal gifts. Upon seeing the wooden goose carving, everyone exclaimed, "It's so lifelike, even more elegant than a live goose." The betrothal gifts are generous, it's truly impressive. The thickness is just right, it has both appearance and substance. Holding the betrothal book, Lu's mother loudly recited the betrothal gifts and said auspicious words, "A good match is preordained, and a perfect couple is made in heaven." The Song family accepted the betrothal letter and then presented return gifts. This was something I had inquired about with Granny Huang beforehand. Unlike my hometown, people here value face more when giving return gifts, rather than just practicality. The Song family returned a set of writing brushes, ink, paper, and inkstones, as well as a pair of shoes and socks made for the new son-in-law. Lu Mingui bought the writing brush, ink, paper, and inkstone online. They looked very high-end. Magistrate Zhang was quite pleased with this, not because of the set of writing brushes, ink, paper and inkstone, but because he felt that the Song family knew how to be polite and courteous. Although Zhang Yuanzhou is only a nephew, not a son, they are still members of the Zhang family. If you marry into a difficult and unreasonable family, many unpleasant incidents are bound to occur in the future. That's the real trouble. He had his eye on the Song family, especially Lu Mingui, who, despite being just an ordinary old woman, was very knowledgeable. Children raised by a woman like this are bound to be good. After the ceremony was completed, Lu Mingui invited everyone to drink wine in the main hall, which was the betrothal wine. The feast looked simple, but it was actually carefully prepared by Lu Mingui. There was braised pork hock ordered from Zaishanlu restaurant in the county. It was stewed until tender and had a reddish-brown color. There was also a chicken soup brought back from Mi Farm, made with ham broth and winter bamboo shoots, which was extremely delicious. Another dish is stir-fried shrimp balls, which are white as jade and are very popular with locals. The wine chosen is daughter's red, which is most appropriate for the occasion. When Xu Yang heard that Lu Mingui's daughter was getting engaged today, he put all his skills to use, frying, stir-frying, and cooking. Little did he know that these dishes had been served at a banquet more than 300 years ago. The meal was a pleasant one for both the host and guests. After several rounds of drinks, the Zhang family left with the wooden goose carving and numerous return gifts. Chapter 269 Opening. Zhou, the registrar, was quite drunk, and the square scarf on his head was askew. He clicked his tongue in amazement. "Sir, how come the food and wine from the Song family taste so delicious? If his family opened a restaurant, what would be the point of Zaishanlu?" Zaishanlu was the best restaurant in Chongzhou County, but compared to today's food, it was nothing special. Look, no one has even touched the pork hock ordered from Zaishanlu. Logically speaking, such a banquet is just a formality, but unexpectedly it made people's mouths water and the food was completely devoured. "How rude of me, how rude of me." Magistrate Zhang also remarked, "You know what, it really is delicious. I've never tasted such excellent craftsmanship before. To be honest, we're not the kind of people who haven't seen the world. We've tasted delicacies from land and sea before, so why are we so greedy? Such a strong craving for food is really not right." Clerk Zhou said somewhat embarrassedly, "Sir, how about we go to the Song family for another meal sometime? I've barely taken a few steps, and I'm already thinking about it again." Magistrate Zhang immediately bristled and glared, "What are you saying? They're my in-laws, not yours. How could you have the audacity to beg for food? This is absolutely incomprehensible." Clerk Zhou immediately clutched his chest, looking hurt. "That's right, I'm homeless and destitute, how can I go to your in-laws' house to beg for food? It was my overstepping my bounds." After saying that, he drifted away like a ghost. Magistrate Zhang was furious. "You scoundrel." The Song family. The neighbors had already said goodbye and left, leaving only the Song and Lu families still tidying up. Lu Mingui looked at the dowry and felt it was strange. Where did Mother Lu's dowry come from? It wasn't this expensive. Why are there so many delivered today? Wang speculated, this shows that the Zhang family values our Xiao Chuan is afraid of mistreating her. Look at these, they're all really good stuff. Everyone else laughed, happy for Song Xiaoqiu. Lu Wenli also said, who would have thought there would be such a fate? It was Zhang who saved Xiaoqiu back then. Old Mrs. Huang was unaware of this and hurriedly asked what had happened. As they were talking, Zhang Yuanzhou returned. He had an unquenchable smile on his face and a faint smell of alcohol on his body. Lu Mingui quickly inquired, A few days ago, the official matchmaker came to our door and said it would be 20 taels of silver, but now it has been increased by 60 taels, and there are other things that have also increased significantly. This matter cannot be misunderstood. Zhang Yuanzhou explained, that was my original plan, since I only have this much money saved up over the years. I later learned that my parents had left me a sum of money before they passed away. The money is being kept by my uncle and will only be given to me after I get married. My uncle and aunt will then decide on the additional betrothal gifts. I was in a rush and didn't have time to tell you before. Lu Mingui sighed. No matter what, parents always think of their children. Then she thought of Magistrate Yang's family. She had originally thought that the uncle and aunt were only being polite to their nephew, since when she first met Zhang Yuanzhou, the child's shoes were badly worn out. Looking back now, there may have been other hidden reasons. At least they didn't swallow up the property left by the parents. She said, after you get married, take Xiaoqiu to your parents' graves to kowtow. Zhang Yuanzhou agreed and then explained his purpose. He wanted to invite everyone to see his newly purchased house. The house is located behind Yinshan Street. That area is full of houses, not shops, so the price is much cheaper. It's not far from the Song family's house, but there's a small river in between, so you have to take a detour. With the same white walls and black tiles, push open the wooden door to find the gatehouse, pass through the courtyard, and there are side rooms on both sides. Go further in, and you will see the main hall. The ground is paved with bluestone bricks and looks very clean. There is also a well and a small vegetable garden in the backyard. Zhang Yuanzhou explained, we bought it in a hurry, so it needs some repairs. It won't delay our move in next year. The couple set their wedding date for the 8th day of the 5th lunar month next year, which is still 6 months away. If there's anything you need to buy, just let me know, auntie. He was talking to Lu Mingui, but he was actually looking at Song Xiaoqiu, who was a little shy and lowered her head. Lu Mingui then said, Xiaoqiu, this will be your home from now on. Just tell me if you need anything. It will be troublesome if we have to do some repairs after we move in. If you don't have enough money, mother will give you some. Upon hearing this, Song Xiaoqiu indeed began to examine the document closely, no longer able to remain aloof out of shyness. The east wing has a small window and is quite dark. How about we build a row of cabinets to store clothes and shoes? Let's add another stove in the kitchen, it will make cooking rice and stewing dishes more convenient. Zhang Yuanzhou smiled happily when he saw that she was finally willing to speak. I'll do whatever you say. Do whatever you say, even tear it down. One sentence made Song Xiaoqiu blush, and her family members were secretly laughing behind her back. But Zhang Yuanzhou was thick-skinned and didn't feel embarrassed or annoyed at all. He laughed along with them, all smiles. The 28th day of the 11th lunar month, the bright red silk cloth was unveiled, and Ronghua Pavilion opened for business. At 9 a.m., the wooden door panels of the shop were removed, and firecrackers crackled and popped. Lu Mingui wore a brand new lotus root-colored jacket, with a duck-egg blue vest over it. Her hair was neatly combed, and in addition to the wooden hairpin she always wore, she also wore a kingfisher feather silver hairpin. She looked refreshing and neat. The rest of the people were all dressed elegantly. Xiaoqiu and the other young people were not only dressed neatly and cleanly, but they also had powder on their faces and lip rouge on, and they all looked very healthy. The commotion attracted a crowd who gathered to watch the spectacle. Looking at so many people, Lu Mingui felt a little nervous, but she had practiced these words many times, so she quickly calmed herself down. She announced loudly, Dear neighbors, Ronghua Pavilion is opening today. On our opening day, everyone who enters will receive a box of lip rouge. Feel free to come in and take a look. Even if you don't buy anything, it's fine. Have a cup of hot tea to warm yourself up. The shop brewed jujube tea with some brown sugar, making it sweet. The lip rouge was also custom-made in later generations, specifically for gifting. Although each box contained only a small amount, its beauty lay in its color. Her shout drew a large number of young women and wives into the shop. Once inside, one is somewhat overwhelmed by the sheer variety of things. The shop is divided into 2 rooms, not very large, but decorated very elegantly. Upon entering, you'll see a black lacquered and gold-painted counter with small white porcelain jars on it, containing rouge, face powder, and the like. There was also the soap that Lu Mingui bought. In her later life, she bought soap that could be used for bathing or washing her face. It wasn't expensive. She brought it back, wrapped it in oil paper, and tied it with a red string. It was both rustic and beautiful. A bar of soap like this only costs 30 coins in the store and can last a long time. The rouge and perfumes made by Granny Huang were still sold at the same prices as before, ranging from 10 to 50 coins. Chapter 270 Treble. The inner room is even more breathtaking. Lifting the curtain, a warm and inviting atmosphere filled the room. A charcoal brazier had already been placed in the corner, so even though it was winter, it wasn't cold at all. The most eye-catching thing is a glass cabinet in the middle. Through the glass, you can see sets of skincare products inside, which look expensive. This cabinet was specially customized by Lu Mingui. Of course, she didn't dare use large areas of glass, which would only attract envy. She simply divided the glass into small pieces and inlaid them on the wooden cabinet, but that was already stunning enough. My family was amazed when they saw it. In addition to this glass cabinet, 3 other walls were fitted with cabinets, each with its own neatly arranged compartments. Some of the items inside contained skincare products, while others displayed hairpins and other similar items. Most of the skincare products are custom-made by Runfang Company, with the words, Lu's Special Research, written on the bottom of the specially made bottles. Besides milk face cream and ginseng face cream, there are also facial cleansers and serums. The packaging used was a more upscale porcelain bottle, with names printed on the bottle. For example, the milk face cream is called Ningru Yurun Cream, and the facial cleanser in the same series is called Yunru Cleansing Cream. The ginseng face cream is called Yuanshan Nourishing Cream, which is quite a fancy name. When they were thinking of a name, Lu Yunxi was still laughing. Actually, it was all inspired by that New Year's Eve dinner for Lu Mingui. A good name is so important, it can be impressive enough. The shop was bustling with activity and filled with noise. Some people just wanted to have some tea and leave, while others were after that small box of free lip rouge. But after seeing so many rouge products, I'll still buy some, especially since some of them aren't expensive. Take that bar of soap, for example, the red string on it is worth 2 coins. Beforehand, Granny Huang had already taught Song Xiaoqiu, Zhao Xinghua, Meng He, and others how to entertain guests, what kind of questions they would encounter, and how to answer them. It could be said that they had rehearsed the process many times. He knew the prices of all the items by heart and was familiar with their effects. There were still some who were hesitant, and there were also trial packs for people to try out. They thought of everything they could think of. Therefore, although there are many customers at the moment, it is not too chaotic. However, while there were many people buying rouge outside, the inner room was much quieter. Many people asked about the price, then left in astonishment. This bottle of jade cream costs 8 yen of silver. No way, I don't want it. This beauty cream costs 4 ounces and 8 mace. That's too expensive. Lu Mingui wasn't in a hurry. The inner and outer rooms weren't for the same type of customers, so making money still depended on the inner rooms. Just then, a woman dressed in gold and silver came up to them. Let me see that. It refers to a set of skincare products in the glass cabinet. This is the first customer to want to see it since the store opened today. This is the Lingzi Jade Dew set. I made 2 sets, and the other set was given to the county magistrate's wife last time. Upon hearing this, Lu Mingui glanced over and saw a woman in her 30s who was well maintained, but her eyes held a fierce look that made her seem unapproachable. She immediately became wary, but when it comes to doing business, what kind of people can't you encounter? If someone wants to see it, how can I refuse? Lu Mingui carefully opened the glass cabinet and took out the set of skincare products. The introduction stated, "This is our Lingzi Jade Dew Premium Collection. This box contains a clear facial cleanser, and this bottle." Before he could finish speaking, the woman interrupted him. "You don't need to tell me, it's just these kinds of things, isn't it? Do you think I'm ignorant?" She reached out and snatched it away, saying, "Tisk tisk, it's no big deal." Then, with a sudden release, the porcelain bottle fell straight to the ground with a crisp cracking sound, scattering the snow-white face cream inside everywhere. Lu Mingui was taken aback. The visitor was clearly up to no good and had indeed come to cause trouble. She had just seen the woman deliberately throw the porcelain vase on the ground. Before she could even open her mouth to question her, the young maidservant beside the woman preemptively attacked. "What's wrong with you, old woman? My wife hadn't even gotten a firm grip on it before you let go. If this porcelain vase hurts my wife, you won't be able to afford to pay for it." Despite his young age, he is quite articulate. Lu Mingui had no intention of indulging them. On the very first day of business, someone was already trying to bully her. How could she continue doing business like this? She snorted coldly. You clearly handled the bottle before deliberately dropping it. Do you think this old woman is blind and deaf? Can't afford to pay? I'd like to ask you, my lady, if you can afford to pay for it. The woman held her head high arrogantly. Can't afford to pay. Do you know who I am? How dare you say such a thing? Lu Mingui was furious. I don't care who you are. You've damaged my things, so you have to pay for it. Hearing the noise, old woman Huang hurried in and immediately saw the woman. She curled her lip in disapproval. Isn't this from Manager Wang's shop? You own a rouge shop, so why are you buying rouge from our Ronghua Pavilion? Looking at the ground, he exclaimed in surprise, you actually broke our things. Do you know how much silver this bottle is worth? Granny Huang was heartbroken. She knew about cosmetics and knew that these face creams were all good stuff. This is a secret family recipe passed down through generations, worth a fortune. It was just smashed like that. You guys are really committing a terrible sin. Actually, Granny Huang didn't know where these face creams came from. Lu Mingui hadn't told her, only saying that they were bought from outside. But as a seasoned businesswoman, she is adept at seizing every opportunity and always thinking about how to elevate the value of her products. Wang Erniongzi first gave a mocking laugh. Oh, Granny Huang, so you've found a new employer. Worth 1,000 pieces of gold. Who are you trying to fool? Are you trying to extort me? My clothes are all stained, and I haven't made you pay for them yet. The maid chimed in, that's right, you have to compensate my mistress for her clothes, at least 5 taels of silver. Old woman Huang sneered, pay back silver. You should pay back our Lingzi due first. These are despicable bastards, a whole family of shameful scum. When your own business is bad, you come to someone else's to cause trouble. You stole my shop, and now you want to ruin our boss's business. The old woman's cries grew louder and louder, filled with resentment. Enraged by the scolding, Madame Wang clapped her hands and shouted, what business is it of yours, you old woman? Give me back Lingzi Jade Do. Bah, listen up, everyone, we don't even know what this stuff is made of, but if you use it, your face will rot. These are all things for animals, don't buy them. Anyone who buys this will be scammed. The more she spoke, the uglier it got, and Granny Huang couldn't help but be about to strike, but Lu Mingui stopped her. Old woman Huang said anxiously, Master, we can't let her talk nonsense here. It will scare away the other customers. How dare she slander us? Let me teach her a lesson. Lu Mingui slightly raised her chin, gesturing for her to look outside. The outer room had already quieted down at some point.